Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, which we've rebranded for 2018 as Star Wars Saturdays. And by we, I mean me and other people who sign up and play with me. This is part of the Gauntlet community, and it is Star Wars themed role playing games. Often it's a little bit of play this with that. So you're not going to find us playing Fantasy Flight, not Final Fantasy. I don't know why I always get those two mixed up. Not going to find us playing Fantasy Flight Games version. We're probably not going to be playing the D6, although there's a possibility the re-up version is kind of dope. And we're definitely not going to be playing the D20 version of Star Wars. But we're going to be playing in the Star Wars universe. In Star Wars Saturdays, it is effectively a living campaign that is set between Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Episode 4, A New Hope, which means that gives us the playing field of big growing empire, huge threat. Jedis are on the kind of the outs and being worked out of the equation, as it were, but it still allows us to cheat and have some Jedi stories if we really have to, want to kind of, and then a growing rebellion. So we have all the cool bits of Star Wars that we can mix in. We don't have to worry so much about canon per se. We're going to make our own canon is what I'm saying, right? We are currently playing 1%er, which is from Creepy Doll Studios. And it was originally created to play modern day bikers. And we've rebranded it as Swoop Bikers. And we have a lovely, and by lovely, amazing, I mean dangerous as all get out group, a swoop biker gang, and they are located on the smuggler's moon known as Nar Shaddaa. Nar Shaddaa exists in hut space, and huts are those big slug-like dudes, and they are part of a big criminal syndicate. The huts are like the criminal overlords. Why? Because Star Wars says so, right? Because they don't look very mobile. And the canon versions we have of Huts, Jabba didn't look super smart. Also, he was a slug stuck on Tatooine. But we're just going to accept that Huts are amazing and terrifying and everyone does what they say. It could be just a thing. Like, maybe you don't respect your leaders, but you do what they say in Star Wars universe. Maybe your leaders are odious and you despise them, but there's not much you can do about it. So you continue to exist and you try to stay out from the crushing heel of the oppressive leader that you might have.
Wow, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Me either. I mean, that would be a shithole place to live, honestly. A country that has that kind of leader. So, in this imagined universe, you guys live on the Nar Shaddaa, which is the smuggler's moon. You are a gang that we found in our first session is actually akin to a family, a group of outcasts, orphans, and exiles who have come together, and you currently call yourselves the Crate Fangs. And crate, not like a big box, but Krayt. I realized that, like, as I was watching, that anyone who didn't know what we were talking about thought that maybe there was some fanged box of some kind. So let me clear it up. Krayt is like a dragon. It's a space dragon in Star Wars with huge, awesome fangs. The Crate Fangs are an amazing group of swoop bikers, and their rackets are generally thievery and protection, which is a cool combo. Not what you'd expect. Yeah, they're all a bunch of mimics. All right. So, yeah, it's between 3 and 4 is the general timeline that we're taking place. So we have Star Travel, we have TIE Fighters, we don't have the First Order. Sorry, I love the First Order. I think they're cool. We're dealing with stormtroopers who are amazingly precise and but aren't. And TIE Fighters, and the Emperor Palpatine is in growing power. Like, he's the Emperor at this point because Revenge of the Sith has happened. Order 66 has happened, which killed all of the Jedi, except, you know, every time you read a novel or watch a TV show, there are more Jedi. They're like the fucking tribbles. You put 2 together and all of a sudden you got 12. And who knows? Sorry, it's a Jedi joke. Okay. Now, we are going to go through and remind ourselves of the characters that we already have. And then Patrick is joining us, and he's going to be bringing in his new character. We're going to integrate him into the gang as an extant member who was not present for the previous adventures, and we'll figure out why. We have a few theories. Patrick and I have been working behind the scenes, guys, so we have some ideas. Christian, why don't you lead us off and tell us about Weasel? And by tell us about Weasel, just like a brief description, who he is, a little bit of what he's about. You don't need to give a treatise.
Sure. Weasel is a former slave that has escaped his former masters, and as a very troubled youth, become a vandal and thief. Left his old desert planet and ended up at Nar Shaddaa, and found some new associates and some new role models that he got stuck with, which is part of the gang.
Nice. Next, we will learn from Jason a bit about Ace. Jason, tell us about Ace.
Sure. Ace is the token human in the group. His parents died keeping one of the they were working in the engine room, keeping one of the casinos afloat, which is called Heaven. So he's a little bitter about that whole thing, and he ended up being raised with the incredibly good influence of being raised by an old combat droid, which is Buzz. Buzz's way of raising him was basically to say, here's a training holo, watch this. And Ace is really keen on being just an amazing gunslinger. So he packs a lot of attitude and tends to reach for the blasters. If there's a question about who shot first, he wants people to know it was him. So, yeah.
That was hilarious. There's no question about who shot first here. It is always Ace. Michael, tell us about your father figure / combat droid, Buzz.
Buzz, BZ-82, is a decommissioned combat droid from the Clone Wars. He was serving as a bodyguard for a Nar Shaddaa elite until they expired. And so he kind of spent some time alone without a purpose, and over time his memory banks overfilled, and he started to develop a bit of a personality and some independence. And so now he kind of fights for the freedom of everyone, whether that's for Weasel's freedom or for certain droids that have restraining bolts and things like that. Basically, the sort of side character quartermaster I had in mind ended up becoming a father figure. So that's kind of what Buzz is turning out to be. So I'm enjoying figuring out what that means for a droid, which is very exciting.
It is. I especially love when he doled out the take from your train heist down to the credit. Even rounded them up. Yeah, it was good. It's good stuff. Last but not least, we have Yoshi telling us about Preacher.
Yeah. So I'm playing Preacher, and she is a former bounty hunter. She often brought in her bounties dead because it was a little bit more efficient. She was kind of ruthless and cold and calculating. And if somebody is questioning who shot first, it would probably be Preacher rather than Ace. But it's up for debates. The other thing about Preacher is how she got kind of like swept into this swoop gang is it was through Weasel. Weasel basically kind of was her bounty and surrendered and made it way easier to take him in alive than to take him in dead. And therefore she didn't kill him right off the bat. And then Weasel kind of weaseled his way into her heart and made it so that she didn't want to kill him and kind of is now sort of protecting him.
Oh, that's so cute. Awesome. Thank you all so much. And the unmentioned member that was in the first session is Scrap, who is a Jawa, and he is a mechanic, a little irascible, a little bit of a kleptomaniac, but lovable. and not at all cute, because we've drawn a veil on cute Jawa. Like, we hard line on that one, actually. At the very end of the session, our tag scene was that someone stunned Scrap and then drug him out of his little scrap heap where he was down in the sewers. Let's learn a little bit about your character, Patrick. Tell us about them.
So my character is Spook. He is a Powan, which is a delightful race that looks like Hellraiser Draculas, but are actually known to be like some of the nicest people, very friendly, very neighborly. But I sort of liked the idea of playing one that leaned a bit more into the terrifying aspect. Their race is a very old race, was prized for a long time as like diplomats and negotiators and sort of major domos, social people. But then when the Trade Federation came in, they sort of got economically screwed, so they joined in the Clone Wars. And then when the Empire came in, they basically got enslaved as a race and stripped of their rank. So Spook here was like somebody's diplomatic assistant sort of thing, had a really nice position in life and lost all of that and has had to go on the run. So I sort of like a couple of dichotomies about him. I like that smooth, very genteel social exterior that has like this undercurrent of rage against everything that just cracks it apart and sends him a little psycho. I like the idea of him being violent at times without really the physicality or skills to back it up. The other thing I like about him is that the Powan race lives for like 700 to 800 years. They're very long-lived. And I'm thinking of him as fairly young, so not quite 200. But I'm yeah, I know. But I'm interested in like what motivates someone who could have centuries more to live to get into such a dangerous, deadly lifestyle as Swoop Gang here. Obviously, Nar Shaddaa gives me a safe haven of a place where I won't be like taken in, sold back into slavery, arrested, whatever. But yeah, I sort of want to play with those weird dichotomies for him.
That is really fascinating. Now, so he worked for someone before it all went to hell. Is that right?
Yeah, he was, I think, like a diplomatic assistant, maybe working in government.
Oh, so he might have been attached to the Senate before it was dissolved?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, that sounds delightful. Although, if we go 3 to 4, which is what I've kind of defined as our timeline, the Senate's probably just being dissolved, but I'm sure that maybe he was part of a group that was like being shaved off, kind of like imagine the UN, like it gets winnowed down to a point, and then finally the Emperor's just like, yeah, I'm officially getting rid of you because like you're just a gnat now. And yeah, so
what if he was an attaché between the Senate and the Jedi? Like if he was the person that, because that gives there's a whole lot of reasons that's a problem. I mean, for one thing is your political career is dead because the Jedi were all horrible traitors, and everyone knows that now. For another thing, it puts your life in direct danger because you might know too much.
God,
yeah, I like that.
I was thinking that too. Showing up might danger someone else as well, so you might stay away for saving someone else's life for some reason.
Yeah, I think, you know, it is part of that long life dichotomy situation where, like, anyone close to him or family, like, he doesn't feel like he has the right to endanger their eternity. So he's just trying to take all the heat onto himself.
So let me throw this out just because you're an aged character and we've already established that Buzz has been around since Clone Wars. Is it possible that the two of you worked together, or at least, like, in same circles back then?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's actually probably likely that Buzz was instrumental in helping to smuggle me away from wherever I was to Nar Shaddaa.
How do you feel about that, Michael?
Absolutely. I could definitely see that. I mean, I think that probably after the Clone Wars, I think Buzz might have been sort of used because he looked like separatist drones, and then maybe some Jedi or whoever took advantage of that as a way to sort of keep up appearances or something like that.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Cool. That's neat. That's a neat history there. It kind of ties into the nascent beginning, the early strings of what became the Crate Fangs. Is that the two of you guys have known each other for, 15 years, which is like a blink of the eye for Spook, but most of Buzz's existence maybe.
I think it's even possible, Spook, that you may be convinced Buzz to sort of like go off on his own in a way, I mean, you might have been instrumental in saying, okay, we're here in Nar Shaddaa. You could go back to your masters, or you could live in eternity. I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe like as our Jedi that we were working with / protecting / being protected by were like whittled down and slowly being killed off, maybe it was just time to break and run.
I like it. A little bit of a cowardly beginning in a way, but that's cool. I had a question for Spook. You're really, really good on a speeder.
Yeah, it's something that he got his first driver's license well over a century ago, so he's had a while to practice, and I think it's I think it was like one of the vices that he really enjoyed from his very wealthy upper crust lifestyle is like he could afford to play around with expensive toys and swoop bikes. He could afford to like go do all this recreational racing and riding. So I think it's just been sort of a hobby passion of his for a long time.
I imagine that's something that your family probably looked down upon because of how reckless and dangerous it is. It's like, you're only 150. You could you could kill yourself. You got a whole life ahead of you. You have 8 lifetimes ahead of you.
That's a good point. Maybe it's like it's sort of an early signifier of like that personality trait that will one day turn into him being willing to get into a life of violence. It's that thrill-seeking adrenaline side that's really not healthy for someone of his lifespan.
Oh man, I totally see these like upper crust Beverly Hills family of his, like just so like the thing you do is so crazy.
And he's not even doing like nice, safe, insulated racing in some expensive safety car. It's this open ass bike stuff.
I have a question there for you, Spook.
Yeah.
What event or what happened for you to stay with a biker gang, or to sort of come to terms with living with a low life group of bikers, and when you come from quite high standing? Have you been through something that, or is it just desperation that kept you?
So I knew Buzz. We sort of helped each other get away to Nar Shaddaa, but I think it was sort of a slow change / descent from his old self into his personal one. I don't think he was like instantly Order 66 happened and he turned into like badass punk beater or whatever. But I do think what sort of tied him into the gang really tight was like the first time he just lost it on someone and like beat them to death. And the gang was there, like you protected me legally, but more than that, you sort of helped me work through, not entirely helpfully given his mental state today, but work through the trauma of having lived through that sort of thing.
Cool.
Good. So I see a strong tie between Spook and Buzz. Does that create then a tie between Spook and Ace? Is Spook? Someone in the chat mentioned like creepy Uncle Spook.
I like creepy Uncle Spook.
So I guess one of the questions there is how long Spook has been kicking it on Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
Sounds like equally as long as Buzz.
Yeah.
Then he's completely creepy Uncle Spook. I mean, the thing is, before Spook was on the character sheet, the person with talking skills was Ace, although he was much better at talking to people in a very intimidating, in the moment, I've got a blaster pointed at you, rather than diplomacy. And he probably didn't learn that from Buzz. So yeah, it's fair to say that he learned a little bit probably from creepy Uncle Spook also. He doesn't necessarily understand him. He maybe finds him a bit off-putting because he's got oddly enough a colder personality than the robot that raised him. But yeah, I think that there's certainly an affection and a relationship there. I had a question that I wanted to bring up, which is that the Krait's fangs. One of the things that we do is we take things and use them as kind of treasures. So Ace's blasters are ones he took from another gang member. He actually stunned them and took them like Count and Coup. But whenever they do a heist or a job or something, they actually have like a baby Krait's head up in the watering hole that they're in, and they just nail one of the treasures up there. So there's this wall full of like bric-a-brac. And I was thinking about like Spook's been around a long time, and I was wondering if he's been doing that. Like, if you go recent, it's all stuff from jobs. But if you go further back, it's like medals, thanks for diplomacy, letters of commendation. And like he's been doing that the whole time. It's just they start off being relatively mundane. And then they get a little bit crazier. And that was just an idea. I was curious if you'd be interested in it.
Yeah, I like that. I like it starts off with sort of things that he would pick up in a theft sort of situation where it's like, oh, this reminds me of my old life, and sort of nice and official and fancy things. And then it just morphs into like a row of bloodstained Imperial badges.
Bowling trophy comment. That's good. That's good.
So Spook served as a diplomat, as a liaison for the Jedi. Did he harbor any particular resentment to the Empire? Like, was he loyal to the Jedi in a sense? I know we might be getting a little bit of field here, but I'm just curious.
No, because I'm just trying to think to the timeline. So I think that he and they as the race had built up a loyalty to the Jedi, especially through the Clone War period, because the Jedis were the ones that talked them into, hey, the Trade Federation is screwing your planet over, come join in. But more than that, I think it was like hatred of the Empire, because when the Emperor came in, he shut down like all travel and communication to their distant ass planet, and since no one really remembered that they were there, he's like enslaved a bunch of them. Like I said, he stripped them of their rank and stuff. So the Trade Federation was helping itself by screwing his race over. The Empire is just like killing them for no good reason.
Nice. All right. That is good. I feel pretty comfortable with integrating Spook into the gang. I know that we don't have a direct relationship with Preacher and Weasel, but I think we can maybe discover that in play. So I'm going to transition now to first when I seen with Weasel coming out of the clinic. And then we're going to transition to you guys and the arrival of Spook, and we have an idea. Oh, whatever, XP horror. No, so we discussed before recording the reminder that, hey, Rich, you're supposed to give out XP. it's work, guys. It's really hard for me. I'm going to assign 3 XP to everybody for our last session, and then you can spend the XP to improve your super biker. Anything that you have at a 1, you can raise to a 2. Otherwise, you can bank it and spend it at next. Let me get it. Yeah, it's not XP on a fail, so I actually have to do work. Sorry about that. Okay. Everybody good? Sorry for the XP whore joke. That was not nice. I'm sorry. I thought it was funny, but I realized it was probably just a little over the line. I apologize. All right. Weasel is getting out of the clinic. Now, this is one of the mid-tier clinics, nicer, a lot more expensive. Buzz, you outlaid some creds to help this happen. Weasel used his portion. We had an Athorian by the name of Wamwa who, oh, yes, starting cards. You got to roll a d6 and add 6 in. So just go ahead and roll that on roll for your party. And I trust you. Okay.
So 4, so 10.
Nice. That's a good starter. One was in the mid-tier. It's in a nicer clinic. It's not one of the large organizations. Like, it doesn't serve a syndicate. It serves people. Oh, and the expenditure of Karks, by the way. So the cinematic rules, there's also another way. So you can do charity, you can do street justice, and then the last piece that's kind of in the development of this newer version of 1%er is something akin to a Lady Blackbird flashback. So if there are biker to biker refreshment scenes, then that will allow you to regain up to a D6 worth of Karks. And that is based off of a suggestion that Jason Cox made last year while playing 1%er, that Robert Nolan, designer of Creepy Doll, said, hell, that sounds good. That's a good idea. Maybe we should do that thing. So, yeah, it was a good idea. And I'd like to play with that guy again.
I don't remember saying that, but I will take the credit.
I have the email where he said, I'm excited that Jason gets to use this since he's the one who suggested it way back when.
All this power creep and new 1%er. Oh.
Like, you got so many Karks, we never fail. All we got to do is hug, and then we can kill everyone. It's weird how that works. It doesn't make sense, but we don't care. So you guys are there. You're coming to pick up Weasel. I'm thinking Buzz is there. Ace and Preacher, say maybe all you guys come around. Just because it's Star Wars, so damn it. We have Weasel. The establishing shot is in the clean white clinic. Weasel is in like little tidy whities and back to tank floating, right? And that's it. I had to do the money shot. We have to have the back to tank. So you get to see a Weequay. They're humanoid, but I imagine there's some odd, not exactly just like a human aspects to them. And the back to tank isn't cloudy or anything. He's fine. He's clean. And Wamwa has a data pad, and he's talking to Buzz for some reason. And he's an Athorian, right? So the Athorian are the hammerheads. They have that weird wall, wall, wall sound, but he's got the thing on the sides with the translator. So he talks, and there's a voice box at his chest. He's wearing the cool, clean, white medic uniform. He's handing off the data pad.
Yes, I am the account holder.
Excellent. I'm pausing because he will call you BZ82. BZ82, this is the full write-up of the health of your charge on the account. He had a case of trichonitis, which was easily cured, as well as Cosima, which is odd because it's a nosocomial infection, but he has it. He has it no longer. There's some anomalies here within his. Yes.
Nitroglyceride levels are down 2%. You should do something about that.
Yes, we can give him an injection before he leaves. There were a few anomalies within his overall schematics. We don't have a great deal of information on weak ways, but I did want to go ahead and give this to you in case you have the ability to cross-reference it. Being a droid, I would imagine that you might have access to other databases. The Smuggler's Moon, we mostly specialize in huts, and everyone else gets what we learn as we go. So here's the full spectrum readout, sir. Is there anything else? Sorry for gendering you, Mr. Droid. BZ82, is there anything more that you would like?
This will suffice. Should I gain the proper database access, I will make sure to pass it along.
Very well. And as you scan over the data pad, BZ82, you... And of course, we have the, like, he's getting pulled out of the back to tank, right? And people are he's getting ready for final. You recognize some of the anomalies that Wamwa, the Ithorian, didn't know about. There's a degenerative affliction known as Notes disease, N-O-W-T. You see the markers within the RNA of Weasel's write-up. And that's something that you are aware of primarily because there was a spread of it about 25 cycles ago on Coruscant. And so that is something that you recall the markers for. It's a degenerative tissue destroying disease that does not currently have a cure, but it is a slow moving disease that someone who has it has a few cycles, but their body tissue, especially in extremities, will start to degenerate and become useless and need to be removed. So, hey, you just found that out, Buzz. So Weasel, you've had the slave collar implant removed, and there's a little bit of soreness, but not a great deal of pain. They've got you hopped up on some pretty good drugs there. And you come out, and you see Preacher and Ace are both here to see you as you get out. What do you do?
My neck. Is it gone? Is it really gone?
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's really gone.
Yeah, the slate. Yeah, it's gone. Hey, thanks. And I just bolt over and hug you all. Like, thanks, Preacher. Thanks, Ace. Oh.
No,
Is
you're
everyone
gross,
here?
slimy.
Feel my skin. It's so nice and smooth.
Oh.
Oh, I'm so happy. Oh my God. Thank you. And I turn to the Ithorian and thank you, Wamwa. I'm so glad. It's finally gone. Then I turn to the rest of you guys.
If you could make sure and fill out the aftercare report with the highest rating for my service, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. Of course. I grab the data pad and like I tap on it and enter my final info that they need.
Nice.
And like hand it over. Thank you.
Awesome. What is Preacher's
shining with happiness?
What is Preacher's reaction here? She's been pretty quiet.
I definitely embrace Weasel as he comes out and after he goes and fills it, like you can see like her, like, because he's got all of like the Bacta still on him, like you can see her just like brushing her hands off of to her cape like in the background, but otherwise super stoked that he's here.
Nice. Cool. So we transition you guys out on the street, and you, I'm going to say that Ace, you got notification that Spook is about to be released from the Syndicate prison. You knew that there was a time frame for his potential release, He had to go through a number of protocols. He was negotiating for an early release program based on good behavior. And yeah, you get a notification that he is ready to be picked up. So, Spook, what is it that have been imprisoned for? Why did you end up in a syndicate prison and not killed? Because that's, usually how they deal with things.
Well, there's several different answers to that. The crime that he was
sorry, I like that answer. I just want to recognize that opening sentence is just lovely. So thank you. Go ahead.
The crime that is like on his paperwork is a mid-level Ponzi style financial scheme. There were a lot of businesses of sort of like middling level on Nar Shaddaa, not a lot of like regulational oversight. So he thought he could work up something really profitable for the gang. And I think he managed to talk Ace and probably Preacher into helping him act as faces for that front. All three of them are decent at being sociable, but have unfortunate rage fits at the wrong time sometimes. So that made things rocky. But you asked the reason why he was arrested. Well, that's entirely different. That would be that, what's his name? Haram? Is that it? The delightful shithead Haram, the leader of our rival gang, who sold him out to the syndicate and made sure to buy the proper justice for him. And so when it was obvious that things were like not going to go well, that the cops showed up with way too much speed, someone had obviously tipped them off at one point. So Spook ended up basically taking the fall for the group. He was willing. He had come up with this plan, sort of pushed the gang into it, and so he was more than willing to do some time for it. I think the reason why he's still alive and not still in prison for the next century is that he burned a lot of his old like favors and contacts to fight against Hutt lawyers, which is no small thing.
Yeah, I can imagine they're all like salacious crumb assholes. Like you hate them. Like who can litigate against that?
Habeas corpus. Well, the worst part is how that lawyer stacked the entire jury with them.
Yeah.
So you just have a gallery of 12 of those little guys laughing at you on the stand.
Oh, what a kangaroo court, as it were. So, Spook, does Preacher and Ace, do they know that you could have rolled on them and walked away like months ago? Or have you just kind of kept that on your own?
I think I've sort of kept that on my own. It's not really going to help anything to bring that up.
Okay. All right. So the four of you, I imagine Ace, you give the Crate Fangs a heads up. And yes, we know that our Jawa friend is not here, but I'm imagining that Scrap is kind of a come and go, as it were. So I don't think that it's like you guys aren't bad gang members for the fact that he's been that your Jawa friend has been missing for a little bit of time. Is that cool? Everybody cool with that? Right? Awesome. We don't want it to be like, your son has been kidnapped. Let me go over here and hang out at the Diamond City and build a new gun and ignore that. No, it's just a thing that will come up later when Steven's back. So the four of you go off to the Syndicate prison. Now, question, Spook, is this a prison where you got to like walk around, or is this an ISO cube thing? How are you imagining that this prison looked?
I think it's probably more harsh and violent, crimey than his whole rap sheet would indicate.
Wow.
I think the sort of win for the Hutt lawyers was they managed to push him into a harsher sentence.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, you pissed off somebody. We're going to say that Tagta is who you have heard through the grapevine is the person who's pushing the hardest to get you the worst possible sentence. Tagta Borbo. So, yeah, he's evidently, him and Haram are maybe in some kind of cahoots, which is great.
Oh, and that's Bulbu's uncle. Lovely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. All right. So yeah, you guys come up. Spook, you're in street clothes. We do the moment of like you being handed back the small package with your whatever you showed up to turn yourself. No, you were arrested and thrown in. Like they're not going to do that. So yeah, they hand you the small package of stuff. What is missing out of your valuables? What's the thing that's missing that you know you had before you? Well, when you handed it over, it was taken from you.
I think it's probably like a medallion and amulet sort of thing that he would generally wear under his clothes and not really talk about or show off, but it's some like commemorative thing from the Jedi Order for some diplomatic talk that he managed to oversee and work through. And in addition to the like growing black market value of Jedi paraphernalia, it's actually made out of some expensive metal. So there's multiple reasons someone might have taken it, but like it was that last sort of piece that he was holding on to.
Oh man, yeah. So you discover that the Deveronian who's behind the little desk there, pushes forward the box, and then the thing closes behind, but you can still see behind the little view screen he's watching. Go ahead and sign the data pad there that you've gotten everything back.
I think he'll sign it, but like on the back of the data pad as he hands it back there, because if you look at his hands, they're like horrible looking claws. But yeah, I think he's like cut gouges into the back of this data pad from just not freaking out right now.
Nice. You head out to the Duracrete, and we'll say it's like a landing platform, right? And there are 5 swoop bikes there, the 5th one being yours. And there's the group, Ace, Buzz, Weasel, and Preacher. Spook, what is something that has changed about you that they will notice? What's one thing about you that's changed? And I'm going to ask the same question of Preacher as well. That Spook will notice something that's changed about Preacher.
I think he's got a fairly fresh scar across his face.
Ooh, nice.
Like there was some inhospitable welcome set up by that hut. Tagta.
Yeah, somebody tried to vibro shift. It's lovely. And what's changed about Preacher that Spook notices? It could be very subtle if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think it is something that's maybe a little bit more subtle. So I think Preacher being a sniper was probably like used to being like on a little bit further back, a little bit more reserved, like eyes out, keeping an eye on thing. But like what you notice is that she's standing up with everybody else, kind of like in the midst of everybody, like waiting for you to be back. So like maybe her guard's a little bit down, but like it's more like she's a part of everything.
Cool. Who's the first to talk to Spook when he steps outside and the doors slide closed and you see the faceless gate of the prison is now closed to you. The Spook, you weren't even given in a stipend right there. Just like, you get to live, go.
That's going to be Ace. And he's like, literally all he's going to do is hold up his arms and go, Spook!
I'll sort of rush a little bit dignified forward, but a little bit like, oh my fucking god, finally. I will. I'll give him a hug and say, like, my head over his shoulder, sort of give him a pat on the back. Oh my God, it's been so long. It's so nice to see you finally. As he sort of lets Ace go and goes over to his swoop bike.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. So I'd like to cut scene there and pick up at the slag pit. Is that cool? But we've been at this for about an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and call it just a quick, like 3 to 5 minute bio break for everybody. That's what I get for drinking this much water and a can of Diet Pepsi. So I'll see you guys in 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll pick back up at the slag pit. Okay, that was good. I had to make breakfast for the kid. Did not realize he hadn't eaten yet. I'm really hungry. I'm like, aren't you at the age where you're semi-self-sufficient? No, he's not.
So I'm just putting on socks and slippers here, but how did the LARP that you ran for him go? That was a while ago, but how'd it go?
Oh, it went pretty well. It was a kind of 2-stage thing. The first one was a boffer LARP with Nerf guns. It was all Fallout themed, Fallout 4 themed. That was his request. So we had the railroad against, I don't know, like some other group in the fall. I basically had a lot of people help me with Fallout lore and then ran stuff by him. And so we just, the railroad, they had like, we got like grease paint makeup so that they could have like markings, and then the Confederacy, I think, or something like that, and they got cool hats, and then they just shot at each other with Nerf guns. By the way, 12-year-olds, and like they had to take 2 breaks. All they were doing was shooting Nerf guns at each other. There was a hard point that they defended, and the others were shooting, and they had to take breaks. I'm like, wow, you guys really out of shape. But they did that thing, and then I converted the Are You a Werewolf game to Are You a Synth? And watching 12-year-olds figure out how to play a deduction game was hilarious. Like,
nice.
They all sucked so bad.
You know, this is recorded. One day he will know you said that.
I loved it though, because like kid just look at the synth card and then smile, and they'll be like, he's the synth, and they would go after him. And yeah, it was not good. They were not very good at being synths. Synth being the werewolf character, and Synth is also like a robot that poses as a human. So we just, they were trapped in the vault, and they had to figure out who the Synth was. Hunter was the only kid that actually lasted more than 1 round, and that was mostly by fingering other people. So it was good. It was very fun. They loved it. They played probably 12 rounds in the space of half an hour because they were all really fast. Thanks for asking. It was super fun.
Nice. Glad it went
all
well.
Right. Good. Everybody back? Oh, wait, Michael, I had to step away. Yeah, it was super good. I still have the cards that I made, there was this other really, really cool moment. So I like had a scientist and a synth, and then vault dwellers, and the scientists could do the thing the seer could, where they could ask me during the night, when everybody else's eyes were closed. The scientists could open their eyes up, point to one of the other characters, and I would say yes or no whether they were the synth, and then the scientists could try to convince everyone, number one, that they were the scientist and that this person was the synth, and it never ever worked. Like, the scientist was never believed, not once ever. But I came up with all those pictures, and then I found like the font for Fallout, and did a Are You a Synth on the other side, and I just printed it out on some like cardstock, and then cut them out with my wife's got an awesome little cutter thingy, paper cutter, right? Precise paper cutter. And then I, based on Jason Morningstar linking to a really cheap laminator, I just laminated them. It was no big deal. And they were like, where did you buy this? And I said, I didn't buy it. I made it. And this one kid, I saw this moment of like, whoa, I was like, I could make this. I could make a game. And it just, like, his whole persona,
the command is in your hands, child.
Like, I have handed indie game to you. See, indie games, you can make it yourself. And that was one of the great moments of that. It was like, I've just cursed you to know that you can make your own game. And so now you're never fully satisfied with a game because you could do it differently. Rather than accepting Monopoly, you must question it, roll and move. So yes, that's what that child now has stuck in his brain.
Secret cult meeting.
Yes, by the end of Are You a Synth, he was already talking about Are You a Sith, the Empire version that he wanted to make. It was pretty great. It was very adorable. Good kid. You guys are in the Slag Pit. So the Slag Pit is a round bar. It is not one of the floating casino types, but that's Nar Shaddaz's is very huts. They don't like corners, being slugs and all. And so this round bar where you guys all call home, you've got the crate thing skull over your head, which we don't tell anyone, but it really was like a baby crate thing, because a real crate thing skull will be like, you're sitting at your cool, I'm imagining it's like a rounded, like one of those horseshoe style booth type deals, and there's some tables around. Music is popping. The intoxicants are flowing. You guys are celebrating really 2 freedoms granted this rotation, right? It's pretty amazing. It's a big party at the Smuggler's Room. You still have credits left over, great deal of credits left over, so you have a bit of a bash. Buzz, what are some of the things that you maybe have secured for this double freedom party that you think that the gang might like?
That I think the gang might like. So I think I like researched Nar Shaddaa delicacies, but all of the information I came back on was actually things that the huts like. So it's like
A bunch of little
weird
slug things, those little froggy
slugs.
deals.
Yeah. Like this is like caviar buzz things, this must be like
Yeah, like several of those like floating half bowls that have the slugs just moving around in it. Oh, this is so good. Slug chips and algae dip. Yes. Preacher, what have you brought to the party effectively? Like, what is something that Preacher has arranged to be here?
What would I have brought? It's probably something from like when I used to be a bounty hunter, like how we would celebrate at the end of those things. And I'm trying not to make it just like a bottle of whiskey. But let's see, what could it be? I think what it is, it's sort of like very similar to like the way that we've been doing like the tokens and memorials of like hanging those things up, but it's sort of like it's like a little ritual to signify that like we're done with that part of it. And so like I think like just next to like all of like the floating bowl of slugs or anything, there's like another bowl where like there's a little like pool of like fuel or something in there that like I'm gonna light, and we're just gonna like burn something from that last thing that we had to like signify that like no, we're done with whatever that is. So like maybe for Weasel, maybe that's something from like a piece of the old like part that was like in his neck. Maybe it's like something else for Spook, like the receipt that they got from the incarceration or something like that. And I'm probably burning something from like the whole like Ponzi scheme that we had, like some token of that. I'm throwing that in there and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. It's like a Viking funeral kind of thing. That's really dope. I like it. I like it a lot. Awesome. So the 5 of you, are there like any entertainers here? Dancers, maybe a Togruta dancer that's around, or is that a thing that this gang does? Is hire entertainers?
That's what Ace was going to bring.
Okay, good. Yeah. So yeah,
Ace brings strippers. But many races, many clients, multiple genders. It's all good.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll say that as you guys are at your horseshoe booth, right there are a few females, males, entertainers there who are sitting between a few of you. And Weasel, as you're sitting there aren't any Weequay. Like, how are you, Weasel, about attraction? Are you just generally like a Weequay specific, or are you more open-minded?
I haven't really thought of that, but I guess that he could be curious I could add something nice. Maybe the weak way have some serious pleasure glands behind the neck here.
Yeah.
That needs.
Oh man,
that
right
needs,
where the implant was. Oh man.
Yeah, next to it, just next to it. So
Okay.
he needs a good rubbing from time to time, and a rubbing gives him, some sort of really ecstatic pleasure. So there are some species that know this, that provide some really serious good service when it comes to this rub.
A neck rub. Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. I guess besides, and this is just besides reproduction, but yeah. So there are some. Let's see. Togrutas,
Yeah, they grew like a Sokotano.
Ashoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like those, they have some techniques that are really nice to the weak ways. So I have ordered some neck rubbers coming in later this evening.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. So then, Spook, you are the first among the group. Oh, by the way, I'm really curious. How is Spook in a party like this? This is definitely not a like wine and cheese party, right? Do you throw back? Like, how are you?
Well, Spook is usually pretty reserved and sort of quiet at the slag pit. That is not at all true this time. Despite being like nearly 7 feet tall and maybe 160 pounds, Spook is not in the business of letting his physical limitations hold him back. So he's seeing just how many bottles he can get through. And I think maybe at this point is like very haphazardly standing up on the bar underneath that like baby crate dragon skull and like electro staple gunning his release paperwork up on the wall of trophies, and definitely not knocking over anything or gonna fall at any point. He's great, he's good, he's fine.
So on the third attempt, you actually get it up. And by get it up, I mean the thing on the wall. And Buzz, you have this interesting information from the medical report. You've been holding it on your own, just filing it, cross-referencing it.
I think Buzz has probably seemed a little preoccupied, even though Spook has come back, he's kind of like maybe seems a little bit out of it. I think you see Spook like dipping a cup into the like flaming fuel barrel, and he's like refilling his fuel port, so he's like drinking at his sternum instead of at his mouth. And I think Spook or Buzz walks over to Spook, and he's got one of these like I think he's got a Twi'lek woman with him, and he says, "Spook, I have been speaking with Misha about what it's like to be a single mother, and I have some news I want to share with you about Weasel."
Is Weasel gonna become a father? I'm confused.
No. I'm worried that his upbringing has been incomplete. I have studied the databases on Weequay culture, and they have very important matriarchs in their society. I'm afraid that Spook is lacking the feminine touch.
Oh, you think he wants a woman to touch him?
Let me cross-reference that. Yes.
That seems reasonable. He's just been through a life-changing experience, and I'm sure he would love the company of someone other than... I'm sorry, would you say your name was Misha? What lovely fangs you have.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's so disturbing to see all these other races with their round teeth like they're all elder. It's unsightly. I wouldn't go around like that, certainly, but you really have it going on.
I would only admit this to you, Spook. but mouths still discomfort me.
Little light comes on when he talks. It's so good.
Well, your solo cup is still on fire, so it sort of goes both ways.
What do you think about Preacher? Could she suffice as a surrogate mother?
Oh,
I believe you are
sorry.
laughing. I do not understand.
That was inappropriate. Misha just tickled me. Hello, dear.
I think maybe there's the cut to Preacher and just like a reflection of Buzz in like the flaming cup. Like Preacher has like a flaming shot that she's about to drink.
I think maybe maternal is not exactly Preacher's bag, and I don't think she really. I mean, I could be wrong, but I haven't gotten the vibe that she's interested in touching Weasel pretty much any other way. Maybe we could do a little more research to find someone more appropriate. Although very funny, I gotta say, that would be good. No.
I always appreciate your counsel, Spook. It is good to have you with us again.
It's good to be on the outside again, not sleeping on a cot and having people with their shivs. Very unpleasant.
The Twi'lek, she reaches up and she's just lightly running her finger on the outside of the scar there. When we cut away to Preacher, you've noticed during this frivolity at the slag pit, some being has entered, and you recognize them from the train heist. It is the assassin droid M5M. Doesn't have a weapon drawn, although there is one in the kind of over the shoulder holster. It's kind of like Chewbacca's like sling thing, except it goes down into a gun holster because it's a robot that doesn't really have a waist to hold a belt. So that's how it chooses to carry its carbine blaster rifle. And M5M enters, looks around, and starts walking towards your group. What do you do, Preacher?
I think I down the shot that I have and then like turn it upside down on the table and then put a hand like onto probably whoever's next to me, which I imagine is actually Ace. And so like I put like a hand on Ace's shoulder and I'm like, I'll be right back. And I kind of like gesture towards like where the droid is. So like Ace knows where I'm going. And then like I just kind of like step away from him over to the assassin droid.
Nice. Ace, what are you doing?
Well, before that point, he had set up a hollow of Haram, and he was taking the slugs and basically playing darts with them and just go, against the wall. So there's just like a pile of slug guts against the wall that keep going through Haram. But at this point, he's basically going to move to another area and cover Preacher because it's not like they're not used to that situation. But yeah.
Cool. All right, so Preacher, you move up to M5M, and the droid, which is tall, he's about, and I'm male gendering a droid, about the height of Spook, because it's like an IG-88 model. He comes up, he moves smoothly, right? There's no jerkiness to his motions. There's probably some extra stabilizers that he's had installed over the cycles. And he moves his little oculars, kind of tilts the head to look down at you. Chiss, known as Preacher, member of the Crate Fangs. I am M5M. I currently work for a hut by the name of Balbu, who has a message for you.
Excellent. What's the message?
Reaches into his little pouch and pulls out and holds its little metallic claws open, and there's a holocron in its palm. Please do not view this in open company.
Okay.
It is not a bomb.
I will believe you.
Closes his claws and turns and it walks away.
M5M.
Stops.
It is good to see you.
Turns. BZ82. The pleasure is returned.
Do I spy any reassigned or reattached restraining bolts on him?
There is a restraining bolt on M5M, indeed.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Is there anything else, BZ82?
I think I'd take like a moment like in that pause and like put like an arm around BZ82, around Buzz, and like just kind of like nod at like at the gesture of like seeing the restraining bolt. I'm like, maybe not now, maybe later. Weasel's free. There'll be time for others.
Yes. Thank you. Your touch is appreciated and noted for its qualities. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll turn away with
Okay.
Preacher.
M5M leaves. The neck rubbers show up, Weasel. The pair of Togruta, they could be sisters, you're not sure.
Oh, hey there. Oh, look who's here. Finally.
They come in and they are very skilled. They have
oh, that's so
they have
nice.
strong grip. They're
I
able to
arrange
really-
myself on the sofa and make sure there's room for them to do their work.
Awesome.
Does anyone want to join in? Completely unaware of me being the only one with glands that needs a good rubbing. So a little bit oblivious in that sense.
Like BZ82 is, I will try anything once. This is useless.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, Weasel is getting
So-
an awesome neck rub. M5M is handed off a holocron for you guys to view. Not an open company that is 100% not a bomb. And Buzz has had a conversation with Spook about getting some maternal affection towards Weasel, right? You were worried about Weasel, not Ace. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I think
go ahead.
Ace gets plenty of
Ace gets enough attention.
Yeah.
He was totally with that Duros last time, but we didn't talk. But yeah, in the sense of brotherly affection, even though a neck rub doesn't matter that much to him, I think Ace is going to join Weasel.
Nice. Nice. I like that. So yeah, so Lorsi Vuktu is probably around, right? And maybe she comes and hangs out with you a bit, Ace. It's casual, but she yeah. Cool. So Spook, as this party's going on, the Twillig, she seems to attach herself to you, hang out for a while. How are you handling this party? Like, do you continue getting trashed? Is that the plan? Just like to wake up in the morning and deal with anything else?
Yeah, I think the plan is to just sort of continue drinking until the point of either passing out or much more likely just getting in a bar brawl with a bunch of people.
Nice. Cool. I like that a lot. Then that is what Spooky is doing, continuing to escalate the barbaric nature of this celebration. That sounds good. Weasel, you and Ace, the two of you are getting your neck rub. Not the same kind of glands for you, Ace, but these Togruta are very skilled masseuses, so I would imagine that this is an altogether pleasant experience for you as well. I'm not sure if it continues to be pleasant for you, but Weasel, you see as you look through your half-lidded eyes, closed mostly through pleasure, that Unseka has made his way over. He's really good at kind of slipping around in crowds, and I'm imagining at the slag pit, the amount of credits you guys have floated around there. There's like standing room only, mostly around your horseshoe. The din of music that's playing, flashing lights and the like, and Unseka makes his way over towards you. He holds his palms up, the universal sign of, hey, I'm not holding a blaster. What do you do, Weasel? As a reminder, Unseka is the Twi'lek who's a member of the Seraphim tactical mechanic. Weasel and Unseka have had a couple of conversations, but again, you guys hate each other, right? Officially.
Officially, yeah. Hey, Unseka. How are you doing?
Weasel. He kind of squats down because you're laying down, right? So he does the cool style where you just squat over your haunches, so he's about eye level, and he says, I heard you had the collar removed, the implant.
Yeah, about time, huh?
Yeah, congrats.
You didn't really pull any strings to help me, right? Nah, it's not your business. You don't care about others, right? You just do your shit.
Not a criffing weak way like you. No.
Well, so what's up? What's up tonight?
Oh, well, the word is that this slag pit is not welcome to decent folk. So I'm not actually here, but I did want to drop by and say congrats.
Oh, I appreciate it. So what are the rest of your crew?
Oh, I see. You want to make this about work. Well, Seraphim's got some pretty good contracts that are working right now. Some security. So just be careful. Be careful where you go, especially in the Duro sector, because, well, let's just say that Haram's working some deals.
A question. I didn't get if Unseka and I are actually like. I mean, we had some good times, when once upon a time. But are we sort of? I mean, they're a hostile gang, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so what do you? A little bit of,
do you think the two of you are just acquaintances? Do you think that you guys are close?
I mean, there could be some mutual respect, but I'm more of a vandal and thief, while he actually is sort of a creative or at least productive. I'm not. So maybe I'm looking for some reason for him to actually care about me. Does anyone have any idea? He's a mechanic. I can't really.
For the Twi'lek to care about you? I mean, before Unseka. So one thing about the Twi'leks in general is that they are often also enslaved. So the easiest thing I can think of is that Unseka used to have a similar implant and had it removed. Therefore, possibly even helped point you towards the right doctors to go to.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll roll with that. Yeah. So, how many years are it since you got your slave collar removed now?
It's been 5 cycles, 5 good cycles. Yeah, I owe Haram big for it. I'm glad that you don't have to owe anybody for your freedom, because freedom should be free.
I got my brethren here. Everyone is taking care of one another. So yeah. Well, my I'm getting a good rub here now, so I'm not sure. Do you have any business here, or I'm feeling a little bit busy at the moment.
Oh, enjoy yourself. I just wanted to drop by.
All right. Okay. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah, he'll just reach over, he pats your elbow, and then he slides back into the crowd.
All right.
I was gonna say just before he comes up, I want to like come up with like a drink for Anseka to like hand it to him, and then invite him to a game of throwing slug chips at Haram's Hollow, if he wanted to join.
He takes the drink and says, "I better not."
Well, if you ever do want to come join us for such a game, we're here.
I will keep that in mind, Dromnam Nemu.
See you, Sika.
He raises a glass to you guys and takes a drink, and then he'll leave with it half drunk. Cool. So, anything else you guys would like to do during the party?
I was thinking that we might actually try and do one of those flashback scenes.
I think that sounds grand.
Because I would love to actually have the point where Spook decides to take the heat for Preacher and Ace in particular. I want to see that emotional interaction where he convinces Preacher and Ace, who are people inclined to shoot their way out of a problem, not to shoot their way out of that problem.
Ooh, interesting. So we're going to frame up a scene where this is a flashback to when Spook talked Ace and Preacher out of blasting their way out of a problem. Interesting.
I imagine the cut is actually us like sitting at the table and drinking, and it's like the telling the story type thing, and like it goes through the drink. That's the cut.
Yeah,
nice framing device.
Nice.
I like that a lot.
Do you remember when?
Well, so like later in the night, they've all been drinking. There's a whole lot of things down on the table, and there's the various entertainers around, and Ace is like, "I'm gonna tell you about this tall, crazy genius that rejoins us tonight. And the night that he kept all of Nar Shaddaa from exploding into little bitty pits." Slam.
So yeah, I zoom sort of through the glass and back out, I think, to the same table, less drunken and just the three of them. And Spook is there saying, look, you seem to be having some fundamental misunderstanding about the phrase Hutt lawyer team. It is not something to be taken lightly. It is not something to shoot your way out of. Trust me, if you could shoot your way out of a Hutt litigation, many people would have before us. I have some status and some pull left. I'm fairly confident that I can protect myself, but there's nothing I don't know what I could do for the two of you if someone else went down that wouldn't have the same effect. And besides, it's what, a year at the tops? That's nothing. I could sleep through a year and not even miss it.
Look, how are we going to get through a year without you? First of all. Second of all, there aren't any problems we can't shoot our way out of. And third of all, that was them and not us. All right? This is Nar Shaddaa. This is how things work here.
If you can't shoot your way out of the problem, you just haven't found the right target yet. I am sure there's a right target that we can shoot our way out of this.
Look, it's not insignificant trouble. Financial crimes in Hutt space are often capital offenses. Look, if we bring that sort of heat down on us, what if we lose our spot? What if we have to run from Nar Shaddaa? Where would we find quarter against the Empire out there?
Run from Nar Shaddaa? I don't see why we can't just hide here. Like, they can't keep up with us.
If you think there are any back alleys shitholes or anything on this planet that the huts don't know about, then you don't understand this place at all.
Look, all I'm saying is, if you're going to go away, the only way I'm going to let that happen is if we end up even better at the end of it. And this just robs us of you for some giant freaking slugs that I don't know why we all listen to.
I don't know how much of a resource you're losing. Look what my plan got us into in the first place.
Well, I mean, did we at least get to keep some of the profit that we made, or is that all going away in fines and bribes and such?
I think Spook's gonna look sort of quickly to both sides and say, it's all definitely gone away. Unfortunately, the huts have reclaimed all of the ill-gotten gains. Oh no.
Oh, you're right. That is a problem.
Yeah, so Ace has head one. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh man, is that the place to cut? Like right there with Ace's reaction about getting it. Sweet. Each of you roll a d6. You get a d6 back of Karks. That was pleasant and lovely.
Is that me included?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
You can. That is just a starting number. It is not your cap for Kark.
Ah, gotcha.
You can Kark it up.
Sorry, that we have to let everyone go kind of one at a time on that. So I'm gonna.
That's
hold
right.
off.
I'll go first.
You go first.
Let's do die rolling initiative order.
Wow, I got a 6.
Obviously, to make your life hard.
Yosh, why don't you go ahead and roll for preacher?
I did. I got a 5.
Oh, sweet. All right. So we'll just do this one. Blah, blah, blah. Naturally got a 2. All right. It's 2 more than I had before, by God.
Yep, true enough. All right. You little Kark up, you. Awesome. Good. I'd like to skip ahead then to the next morning. Some of you are asleep on tables. Others have gone to sleep sitting up at a booth. Some of the like the Twillig girl that was entertaining you, Spook, she's passed out in your lap. Buzz, you're just sitting there, right? Like you're a droid, right? You're good to go. It's no problem. And Buzz, as you look upon your gang, your family, as it were, the slag pit's closed at this point officially, right? You guys are allowed to stay there because you paid enough credits to make things happen. Do you guys have a communal place that you call home, or do you all just kind of meet at the slag pit and go out and do what you do, Buzz?
That's interesting. I think we kind of all have our own place, and we all like have our own little garage for our own individual little bikes, so that we all have our own little bit of individual stuff. I do think that Buzz probably stays with Scrap.
Interesting.
And,
okay.
I think like his little apartment would have like little family pictures of like Ace growing up and stuff like that, like little hollows up there.
Little scratch marks in the wall.
Yeah,
Ace getting bigger.
Yeah,
that's
but he's old enough now. He's moved out. He's on his own. So we're empty nesters. Scrap and I.
Oh my God. Did you take on Scrap as a boarder after Ace kind of went off? And...
I think that Scrap is so small, and Buzz's needs are so sparse that like we don't take up much room in there at all. There's like a charging dock, and Scrap practically lives in the floorboards and the walls. You know, he's almost he likes to kind of nest away a little bit, I think. So
nice.
And he likes, you know, we're buds like that, I guess.
I'm imagining it's like a 1-bedroom flat that like maybe has an attached garage where you keep the swoop, and you open up the windows and it kind of looks out into, you know, all of the different buildings, and it's very. I'm thinking the little Fifth Element, there for how Corbin Dallas's flat looked.
And can I suggest something there?
Yeah.
Because I do like the idea of the sort of independent living spaces. But can we maybe have like a communal garage where we can hang out in private and work on stuff together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Not just the slag pit, you also have a communal garage. Is it like a legit garage? Because you've got a couple of really good mechanics.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe like I pulled some strings and emptied out some bank accounts to get somewhere that's actually set up sort of nice.
Nice. And you probably don't take on a whole lot of work, just whenever to pass time, to keep working on things. But if people, they know, right? If the crate things will take your ride, man, they will soup it up. They'll do it right, and they don't charge that much. It's great.
Nice.
It's legit business, right? It's a little bit of a cover.
I think Preacher's Bike is almost always being worked on because it has so many little fiddly bits that we're always like replacing the hood ornament or
She
the
keeps
the
it
mirror,
pristine
the
at all
fender.
times,
Yeah.
except when
It's-
it's not pristine.
It needs repainted, gets the scrape out, and then didn't you lose like a rear view mirror or something?
Yeah, it's definitely in the shop right now because we need to fix it up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we do that, establishing like the party and buzz, and then maybe we cut to the garage, and maybe Buzz. We've kind of followed you. You're putting the new rear view mirror on Preacher's bike. You've got that holocron that you guys haven't viewed yet. I think it might be good to kind of bring that in, unless there are other things that people want to.
Yeah, I think Buzz was just waiting for everyone to be sort of clear-headed. I mean, there's probably a few hangovers being nursed, but unless Spook had a little bit of the hair of the dog that bit him, I think we're ready to kind of come together and watch this holocron.
No, Spook is just looking grayer than usual and more miserable than usual.
Nice. Because you guys all drag in. You're at the garage. Probably Weasel's looking the best of all of you. Buzz, same as always. And you activate the holocron. When you activate the holocron, you see the smiling face of Togta, of Balbu. Not Togta, sorry. Of Balbu, the nephew of Togta Borvo. If you remember, Togta Borvo is the Hutt who has stranglehold on a great deal of industrial factories. He's the kind of overlord that has a wide breadth of older industry stuff. So he's kind of a dinosaur, as it were. Balbu is the up and coming nephew. He is the one who wore a lot of jewelry that now you've taken and resold. He's supposed to be the next generation. Like, this was one of the first things that Togta had entrusted him to, which was the safe passage of the resupplies for the factories that you guys robbed him of. And you stole his train. And so it comes up, he's got brand new jewelry on, a couple new piercings, and he looks at all of you. If you remember, it's a holocron, right? So it's a 3D hologram. So he's kind of looking directly ahead, but occasionally his bulbous head will look around with those big wide eyes. And the only real shot that we had of Balbu was how wide his eyes were as you guys robbed him at the last minute. But now he's got his cocky kind of veneer back on. And he says, "Crate Fangs, you may think I'm after you to kill you, but I have good news. Because, as far as my uncle knows, that's exactly what I should be doing, which is why I'm not. See, the Crate Fangs, you guys, no one would expect me to hire you. But I know what good thieves you are. I've seen it firsthand. So if you're looking for some really good credits, find M5M. We'll talk." Trust me, it'll be worth your while. And the holocron drops out.
I totally want to rob that guy again.
All right.
What's that?
Bill, what druck did you get up to with Bulbu?
We stole his train.
Yeah. How do you think we paid for the party?
I mean, that was very irresponsible.
Buzz is like doing little calculations in his head. He's like,
Buzz, buddy, you gotta tell me, please. You got a picture of its face, right? You got a picture of his face right when y'all were up there?
I was not in the cabin. But
That
I
hurts.
heard good things.
That hurts. I'll have to live through descriptions. But please continue.
By my estimation, despite Bulbu's recent setback financially, he probably has access to a wealth of credits, somewhere between 14,638 and 29,342. So there is potential for a seriously lucrative job.
Besides, if he thinks he's going to double cross us, we'll just double cross him and steal from him again.
I mean, he's going to double cross us, but if we go and meet,
that means we can take more of his jewelry.
fair enough. If we go and meet, though, like maybe he'll give us an opening that we can exploit.
I do like the idea of robbing Dagda's nephew twice in 1 month.
I kind of like the idea of robbing Tagda, but you know, we'll get there. So
Yes, I value your ambition.
So we find M5M, find out about the job.
Yeah,
Five.
we can do that.
Buzz sounds
Finalize
about
our
as
work on that.
wistful as a robot can, I think. When he
Yeah.
says that.
Didn't we get rid of his restraining bolt? Wasn't?
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, no, I know we got to do it. That's Ace going. Like, didn't we already free him?
Yeah.
The hell?
I
We
think
did.
there's like a serious parallel of like he's back with like he's like the real world parallel would be like a drug addict back to their dealer or whatever, you know. It's really sad.
I kind of think of them like house elves, really.
Oh. Oh no, Dobby.
Oh.
Buzz is our Dobby. Oh. Yeah, so that sounds like the beginning of a plan.
Awesome.
But really, I do want to more or less rob him again, yeah.
Sweet. So we'll skip ahead with you guys making contact with M5M, and you're heading into a place by the name of the Meltdown Cafe. It's on level 88 in the Corellian sector. So there's a high population of humans here. However, Preacher, as you well know, this is one of the most popular bounty hunter hangouts in all of Nar Shaddaa. It's right next to Spectre Fine Dining. The Meltdown Cafe, we get a couple of cameos. We see Dengar here, just mostly because I think Dengar looks awesome, especially that really long rifle. Man, when I got that action figure, it was like the greatest day. So here we are. We're just putting Dengar in for a little cameo appearance there, and we'll see. Yeah, I'm not going to go too far. And so you come into
I
Meltdown
shoot
Cafe.
Dengar.
You Dengar, no, we're in a whole new canon. Oh yeah, Forlom. Yeah, we got a Forlom here because Forlom looks so dope. Oh shit! Okay, yeah, I didn't get the connection to Spectre. Yeah, so Spectre Fine Dining's right near the Meltdown Cafe, and you see M5M and a pack of Deveronians with Balbu. And of course, none of the Deveronians are the Deveronians you guys shot up at the train. But evidently, Balbu's got like a contract with these guys, like a really large family. Balbu's sitting around table. He's sitting on like a little divan, right? He's smaller. Like he is maybe as tall as Buzz. He's real young. And he gestures. He goes, whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to drink, have a seat, all of you. Let's talk business.
So, with credits in this? I heard someone say credits, right?
Of course there are credits. You're not here because you like me.
I think Buzz yet again sort of like defers to Ace as the negotiator, despite being the leader, so to speak.
Yeah. I think this is normally the role that Spook played before, so if Spook wants it, then he can do it. Otherwise, Ace will roll in with threats and bluster.
I think Preacher interrupts, right? Like, is like, I know you don't like me because you're here for credits. I'm like, if you've got enough credits, I am willing to like you.
I'll keep that in mind. He smiles. It's not a pleasant smile.
So yeah, I think as we sit down and there's like a waiter coming up, he's like, order whatever you want. Spook just hands the menus back without looking at it and just says 10 of everything.
Yeah, we can't have a droid react to that, right? So we have to have a server. Let's say that it's a Sulliston, so his eyes get even wider when you say 10 of everything, and then he walks away.
So, Bulbu, friend, buddy, what do you have to talk to us about? Some family opportunity, I hear?
So I'm going to be honest with you guys because no one's going to believe that we would talk openly.
Yeah,
Sure,
no one in this public cafe would believe that we would openly talk to each other. It's just an unbelievable factor. You're very good at this.
I'll let that go. So you may think that moving the train hurt me, but it really just hurt my uncle, and I don't care. Yeah, you took some jewelry off of me. It was insured. So as far as I'm concerned, all you did was became a thorn in my uncle's side, and that's great. Listen, he is a dinosaur. He's practically a fossil. I'm the next generation. And you, the Crave thing, I've seen you work. You took down these guys' cousins like they were nothing. Used an ion cannon M5M and removed his restraining bolt. That's fine. I've got more.
Clenched fists.
But here's the deal. I've got wind of something that could bring us all so much credits it could rain down. And the research that I would get from it would let me vault over my uncle. So that's why I'm going to ask you guys to take care of this for me.
Research?
He slides over a data pad onto the table. And what you guys see is on the data, little hologram pops up. I'm going to screen share so you get a chance to see it. You see this. And so he says, this doesn't even really exist yet. It's a TIE D automated fighter. It's a droid TIE fighter in the TIE series. And the plans are here on Nar Shaddaa.
And you Bulbu are willing to cut the Empire? To steal their research plans and what? Produce it yourself?
Oh, let's just say the Empire isn't choosy about who their suppliers are. If we suddenly have all of that research technology and I take my uncle's industrial capability, then we become the supplier. By we, I mean me and my organization. This could be worth millions of credits. I'll go 50-50 with you because you guys are going to do the hard part. But hey, just because you have the formula doesn't mean you can make the magic happen. And that's why you'd need me. Plus, I'm the one who knows where it is.
Of course, your insight will be very valuable. The money sounds nice. There will, of course, be a contract for some outside consulting into your research endeavors. You are, after all, opening a whole new branch of your enterprise, obviously, with this.
Pause for a second. Yeah, of course.
You'd need some names on the payroll, some legitimacy to back up what you're doing. You can't just show up to the Empire with brand new designs and say, pay me, pay me.
Cool. So it sounds like you are trying to worm in to get a little bit more of a hold in this nascent new technology development that he's evidently going to dream up once he gets hold of these plans.
I'm actually going for something a little more concrete because I don't fully believe in Bulbu's ability to actually carry this plan through to completion and get us our payoff as investors. But what I want is like there's some mid-level financier in Tagta's organization that I want to know what Tagta has over them, like what strings he's pulling to keep their loyalty. Because I know this guy, I found out from somewhere that he's actually tied in deeper with Tagta's vault and wealth than they want to let on publicly. So I want some semi-obscure string into, let's rob Tagta. Fuck this guy.
Cool. Okay. So how do you see gaining that from this conversation with Bulbu? Like I was going to take it up to a roll to try to dig in to see exactly what Bulbu's plan is here or not. But
so if we're talking staffing, I think maybe I work that into, you definitely need to hire this person. You need to get a consulting contract with this financier. I'm sure your uncle won't even mind. He's around in the organization all the time, right?
Ooh, clever, clever. Okay, I'm going to say then you're being cool, and you're definitely trying to jaw at him. Say though, trying to finger him towards somebody that is in Tagta's pocket, not someone that Bulbu completely trusts, is going to be pretty hard. So I'm going to say it's hard. So you need 3 successes. So what you're doing is you're rolling. You're going to build a pool of 6-sided dice. Your Be Cool and your Jaw are both at 3. So you're rolling 6 straight off the bat. Six-sided dice. You are looking for evens. I'm not sure if any of your expertises come in play unless you think they do and you can talk to me about it.
I mean, the job itself, I think, would fall under smuggling, but
that's true.
I don't know if there is one of the crimes that would fit with, like, negotiating a crime explicitly.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's kind of those weird things. Well, you're rolling 6. You're looking for 3 successes. You can spin carks. You've got a boatload of them.
Yeah. I think I can afford to spend 2.
Yeah, I was going to spit carks on you, and then I'm like, wait a minute. In this economy,
yeah, let me spend some on you guys. So let me get rid of that. And then 8.
That is 1, 2 successes.
Oh, that is horrifying.
Wow. Did you have any one, which is fine, by the way, because the pucker factor wasn't in effect here. So yeah, you are negotiating with Balbu. The two of you start becoming kind of get a tit for tat. You're going in a little bit deep. Buzz, you're probably able to follow this. You're kind of fact checking. You, from your own knowledge of just the technology of the Empire, right? The TIE D, this automated starfighter, this is something that's like way far away from like, because generally stormtroopers started as clone troopers, then they became an actual, like at this point people sign up and they join the Empire and then they're trained as stormtroopers. So the idea of going automated does have certain advantages, right? A TIE fighter is, it's like insects, right? But putting an automated system within there, and as you kind of glance and look at some of the schematics, you realize they could probably bulk it up a little bit. Perhaps the shielding could be improved. And of course, it would be more efficient and effective if you went with a droid brain over some kind of bioorganic
Pilot.
And so you guys, not other than Spook and his conversation, you're around this. There are a lot of bounty hunters here. Preacher, there's a couple of bounty hunters who you recognize, and you know, they've probably noticed that you're here. But Weasel and Ace, the two of you, recognize specifically the buttons on the uniform of the 6 individuals that are primarily human, Corellian sector, from the Transit Authority who have entered. And Ace, you even recognize the conductor as he nods to those guys, and then he steps back, and they come forward towards your table. So Ace and Weasel, both of you see this. What do you do?
I'm trying to remind myself what these buttons. I've seen these buttons before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the Transit Authority who run the maglev train. Yeah. So these guys are. They're Pinkertons. They're like Pinkertons. They're the troubleshooters for the Transit Authority. They are a security force that handle problems. People who might see trains might need them.
Are you still wearing that coat, Ace?
That is a good question. I think that there is no chance he is not, because
Definitely wearing it.
because he was speeding with Balboos. Of course, he's wearing it.
I imagine that coat has like the cool, like
But-
almost like a brush type thing, and then little tassels that come off on the shoulders. Because it looks dope.
So I think what Ace is going to do is like gesture to him surrounded by the Deveronians and with Balboo. Look at the conductor and then like cock his head to the side and already have his hand reaching towards the thing. And what I'm doing is the clear implication that if they continue to come forward, I will fill the air with blaster fire. And I've got backup from this hut and his people.
That sounds dope. You are being badass here. And I think Gut's all about how tough and strong you are, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So
yeah.
Sounds, you want Gut?
Yeah, a failure here is definitely going to involve a pucker factor for a lot of people.
That's all right. We're cool. All right. So I've got badass plus Gut is 5. I am pretty sure extortion comes into play on this.
Yeah. We'll call this pulling it off, just cowing them and getting them to back off. We'll say at the moment, I'm just going to call it hard, right? They've just been told they have a job to do. They know that things could go pear-shaped. So yeah, they're not cowards, but perhaps you will teach them the better part of valor.
So right now I'm looking at 6. And
Preacher will definitely toss you a kark. I think maybe like as you start to adjust, Preacher doesn't necessarily was like maybe had her back turned to like where they were coming in, but like sees your adjustments in movement, and so like then turns and sees everything. And I think the threat of violence from her is like maybe she takes her cape off and just lays it on the back of the chair, and then sort of like just like cracks her knuckles.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A question. Are we sitting around the table here, or were we?
Yeah, I was imagining that like maybe you guys were standing while he was at the divan. It's kind of the way I imagine it. So there's
Yeah.
like a table, and you guys are just kind of standing around him.
Yeah, right. So
There's like
I'm
some
also-
curtains behind Balbu that look out, and you can see a bunch of lines of traffic like flying past and like.
Yeah, all right. I'm moving a little bit outwards from the group, so I flank positioning. I position myself so I can take on their flanks.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I'm like becoming a moving target, sort of.
Good call. Are you kicking a cart to this roll to?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Buzz was sitting there, and you can kind of see on his HUD he has like the window up of like the research on the droid fighter, and then like on another smaller window, he had like a little combat simulation up of him killing Balbu like 150 different ways or whatever. But now that the Pinkertons are here, you know, he's sort of like expanded that window, and now he's like considering other, you know, ways, combat simulations of ways this could go down. So,
Nice.
Are you throwing in a cart too?
yeah, I think so.
All right.
I'm kind of curious how many of
If you
those
need one, I mean,
I don't honestly need the cart. That would put me at 9. If you want to keep it, I'll be at 8.
we'll just call that like a cool little thing then.
Yeah.
Where you got? Yes, you were saying something.
I was gonna say, I wonder how many of those simulations basically have Ace and Preacher just shooting a bunch of people.
43%.
Yep.
Option 1. All these people get shot. All right. All right. Oh man, that is terrible.
I guess you want that cark now. Oh,
Yeah.
holy crap!
That's a lot of ones.
Whoa!
That is 3 successes and a whole lot of ones. I don't even know what happens as a result of that roll.
Oh wow! So you're trying to get them to back off.
Yep.
It was hard, which means you need 3 successes.
So I hit that.
You hit that, but you take a lot of cart
Took
damage.
a lot of hit.
So I think that the way that you get them to back off is part of that 43% of potential permutations of outcomes. I think they don't back off immediately, and so you just draw down on them.
I think what he does is the scene from Tombstone. Like they don't back off, so like he takes the blasters and he's like spinning them, and he's like pointing at them and putting them back in, and he's like not even looking at his blasters, but it is a thing where it has to be like, and it's not exactly like it's not open. So every bounty hunter here sees him showing off with his freaking blasters, and he draws a lot of attention.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So yeah, that sounds great. I was thinking a fight actually breaks out, but I love that instead. Like all the eyes, Forlom, Dengar, he's leaving so that he can't be killed. We don't want to break him. Although he's got the bandages. Maybe he doesn't have the bandage. No, sorry.
I also imagine that maybe like the host of the cafe or the person like is taking a picture of Ace, and it's immediately going up on the "do not let back into this establishment" wall.
Nice, and there's right beside the picture of Preacher.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you have a bunch of bounty hunters, and they're going to draw down at this point. So we are now at a Mexican standoff, as it were. I wish there was a different phrase for that. I don't know of a synonymous phrase. We are at a standoff, 3-way standoff here between a bunch of independent bounty hunters, Balbu's Devronian forces, and you guys, and the 6 transit authority figures. and they are not paid enough to. They're not paid enough to do that. But the lead, who's a woman in her 40s, I'm imagining she's played by like a young Glenn Close, like has that intensity, and she just points and she says, "We'll have a conversation another time." And they turn and they're gonna walk out. Preacher, bounty hunters, when they are riled, what is the best way to Ace to extract himself from this? Mandalorian standoff is amazing. Thank you. That is my new turn of phrase.
So good.
Best way for him to extract himself out of this. I think that an easy way would be to, like, if this were a bar, just to like buy everyone around, because like if you get everybody like a little bit of like something to drink, that maybe by the time they finish it, because they're not going to turn down the free drink, that they'll realize, yeah, maybe we don't want to get him right now. It might give him just that little bit of time.
So what do you do, Preacher, knowing that as a possible way to you guys to get out? You need to leave is really
we need to leave. And so like I think knowing that, I kind of like look at Balbu and I'm like, so tensions are a little up. If you want to maybe ingratiate yourself to us, I think the rest of the establishment could use a drink. What do you think? It might calm people down a bit.
Ooh, talking Balbu into paying for it. Oh, I'm gonna put that to a roll. I think you're being cool.
Yeah, I think I am too. I'm not great at this, but
I will definitely give a cark to you, as like through this whole Mandalorian standoff situation, I've not broken eye contact with Balbu. I haven't even reacted to the things
that's
going
awesome.
on behind me.
You're
As I'm
cool as
just
a cucumber.
staring at him with this expectation of, as soon as this distraction's over, we're going to get back to this point I was talking about.
So be cool plus jaw. I'll be nice and not say heart. And I don't see assault, murder, or arson coming in. So you've got to starting off with 3. I'm going to call this as normal. Like there's some logic to it, and Bulbu has bought you guys stuff before. So there is a difficulty. It's a possibility of failure, but it's not super easy. You got a cark from your friend Spook. So you're now sitting at 4 dice.
And I'm going to kick 1 in from myself since I've got some to spend. So
okay, all right. You need
1
2
for me as well.
evens.
1 for me as well.
I don't really have any to spare, so I'm going to hold on to mine.
You do that.
I got 2 successes. And I also got 2 1s, but I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think Pucker Factor was necessarily in effect for this direct roll. Just trying to convince Balbu's not going to shoot you. He's like, yeah, fine, I'll expense it.
Good, smart move.
The M5M leans down and says into Balbu's ear, but loud enough for you guys to hear because he's not so good on volume control. If the transit authority is here and you did not call them, Master, then they may report to Togta what they have seen. Balbu looks nervously at that. So you guys want to kill some transit authority figures?
Do you mean, would we like to clean up the mess you made by calling this meeting in an open cafe by adding a little bit more onto our payment? We would be happy to.
Drinks start getting passed around to the different bounty hunters. And yeah, I think, do we cut scene there?
I think so.
Awesome. So I'm going to call another quick bio break before we head in towards finish. Take about 3 to 5 minutes.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Super. See you soon.
It's like the darkest universe version of C-3PO.
Yeah, Forlom is terrifying and amazing. I especially love that they like, hey, it's the manufacturer's industrial automation. Let's make it look like he has these spooky ass brain things on the side.
That seems, technically necessary.
Forlom is the best. I'm so glad someone threw out Forlom because he just does not get enough love. He's the Blast Tech Industries DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle.
Forlom is dead.
Heavier than the medium blaster rifle.
Nice. In 1982, Kenner released action figures for Forlom and Zuckuss, but transposed their names.
Bastards. Forlom and Zuckuss are my favorite. They are my favorite duo. They are amazing.
Gand Feinsman Zuckuss? A Feinsman? I don't even know what that is.
Would you like me to tell you about the Feinsman?
Yes.
Because I will tell you. All right, so the Gand are an interesting race. They're a little on the short side. They actually breathe ammonia. And typically, they only refer to themselves as a plural. In order to be a individual, you have to do something really amazing, which, as it happens, Zuckuss never did, which is why most other Gand think he's insane, because he keeps referring himself to as singular. A Feinsman kind of uses the Force. They think of it as going through the mist. Their planet is covered in ammonia mist. And they can kind of go into this meditative sense where they can find a person, which is why they make pretty good bounty hunters, although they typically do that communally.
Cool.
Zuckuss and Forlom forever.
Are you saying the Zuckuss and Forlom are like your OTP? They're your one true pairing? That's
Yes.
great.
Well, they're normally written as partners.
Right.
And then Forlom's interesting to me because Zuckuss at some point had his mouth thing ripped off, so he inhaled a lungful of oxygen, which is why they need money, is medical bills for Zuckuss. And Forlom started off kind of like C-3PO, but then one of his owners kept leaving their jewels in obvious places, and they were like, you're just going to get them stolen. So they started stealing things for the good of the people that own them to protect them. And then they just started keeping things. And then they were like, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. And that's how they moved from an object to an independent robot.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thievery is what gave them their freedom.
Yep. It was altruistic at first, and then eventually it was like, you know what? I actually don't care about you guys anymore. I'm just really good at this.
Awesome. So, your friend Balbu has put on the table the possibility of a job. It sounds like the worst idea to you guys, it seems, which is perfectly awesome to me. You know that the Transit Authority wishes to have your hides, which means that it ties back to Togta, because he's the one who would have, pushed on that. And Balbu said, hey, let's throw on top of that contract there the possibility of you guys hunting down these Transit Authority folks because they just saw our meeting in an open cafe. So that's all the stuff that's going on for you guys as you probably are leaving the Meltdown Cafe. Now, if I were a Transit Authority and I realized I was super outgunned and outnumbered in a bounty hunter cafe, but I knew where the bad guys were, well, I have a few choices, right? One of them could be standing right outside, which they're not doing. So when you guys come out and head towards your swoop bikes, you're not accosted by the Transit Authority.
Oh, I was kind of looking forward to being accosted by the Transit Authority.
Don't worry. So,
my receptors are detecting a fishy scent.
So we think that either one, they did something to our swoop bikes, or two, they're further up. So I think it makes sense to first look at the swoop bikes and make sure they didn't do anything to them.
Okay. I think That is going to be a be cool plus hog roll.
Which is why I'm going to pass it off to Buzz.
So we'll say that this is hard.
Would slicing or smuggling come into play here? Maybe smuggling if I'm looking at like small
smuggling.
compartments or something.
Yeah, no, yeah, compartments, that works. I like that.
Okay,
And
well,
I'll give you a kark for that.
Yeah, I'll kick a kark your way as I'm going over. Maybe I'm not paying less attention to the rest of everybody else's bike and more to mine to make sure they didn't mess something up. But in the process, that's eliminating one bike you have to look at.
I think I care too much about my bike in order not to give a kark. It's painful to do, but there you go. You're getting one.
There's so little kark left in you.
Yeah.
well, that takes me to 9, so we're in good hands, hopefully.
You never know. Somebody was like refusing a kark and then really could have used it.
Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes. And 1 curb.
Ah, okay.
Is that the right word?
Sheb.
Sheb.
I knew what you meant. I intuited it. I don't imagine that this was pucker factor. It's you're basically examining bikes, right? Maybe you don't want to look like a weenie doing it, but I don't see it affecting a cart. Here's what you find: there are no bombs. However, there are tracers on Aces and Weasels swoop bikes.
Where are Bulbous people's transports?
He's got one of those he's got a smaller version of the skiff, like the skiff that you have in Tatooine that Jabba had. So it's like this kind of floating skiff barge type deal. It's even got the canopy over the top of it type deal. There's no sun because it's a moon.
Well, that's easy then. We just have to transfer the tracers over to his stuff, and then all we have to do is stalk Bulbu around until he gets nabbed.
That will indeed make us look good. Saving Bulbu again.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Are there any public terminals nearby? Like we're on a platform here where we parked our bikes, or
yeah, I mentioned it, dude.
Yeah. Are there any interfaces or like public terminals? Yeah. I'm gonna go over and see where we have parking slots for barges or larger vessels like that. Or is it big, or can we assume it's big enough to fit a hut and it's
I imagine it's the size of a large RV, except it floats.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I need to roll, but I try to find out where any larger parking facilities are nearby.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't see a roll to that. I think you've got a good idea there, so you're able to find out where the most likely places are, access a couple of cameras, and you can find Bulbu's skiff. Is currently a level below and parked. So, yeah.
Hey, it's below here. Should we give it a try?
Heck yeah, let's do it.
Can we remove the tracers without any how they stuck, like with magnetic?
Yeah, it's like little magnetic things that are kind of one's up under the the part that comes out. Those two.
I honestly thought Buzz rolled well enough that it probably already did that.
Yeah. And Buzz can. Yeah, he knows he's deactivated. You could keep him active, remove him, whatever. You guys snag those, no problem, and you can head down to the skiff. I imagine Bulbu's the kind of guy who's going to have a couple of guards. So, who wants to try to sneak and toss these on without telling Bulbu? I don't really think he'd agree to it.
All right. Now, how would we do sneaking? I think this is probably a theft roll.
Yeah, that sounds
So
good.
this is probably Weasel doing it with Ace trying to distract them.
Oh, it's feet. So cool
Oh,
plus feet can be used for sneaking around and stuff.
All right. So who are we looking at?
Not it.
Well, cool plus feet. I'm just looking at the mechanics. That gives Buzz a 5.
Scrap is your best bet. Oh, wait.
Scrap is not here.
Cruel.
And Spook a 4, and Weasel would have 1, 3 plus your theft would be 4.
Yeah.
So Buzz is oddly enough the best at this.
Although I think it feels natural that Weasel might.
Yeah, I kind of want Weasel to do it, and yeah.
If okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all I'm doing is distracting. So
okay, so I'm gonna when we get out on this parking platform and the guards are standing further towards the access bridge, sort of.
Yeah.
This barge is floating, but tied into the platform. Is it or?
Yeah, I kind of
Something like
imagine
that,
that it's one of those where he actually parked on the level with you guys, but then it shifts down and goes down into level 87 and then moves across. So it's on like this kind of grav pad and it's just hovering lightly above it. And there are a couple of guys who are just walking along the skiff, bored AF, just doing their time. We'll say it's oh shit. One of them, I'm sorry. One of them's a Wookiee, so take that however you wish, and the others are Rhodian. Sounds like a beginning of a joke.
They make an adorable pair.
Yes, they do.
All right, so I'm gonna climb down on the side of the platform and sort of crawl/climb around the edge of it, so I stay out of sight. And if anyone would like to try to make a diversion maneuver, I'll probably be out of the focus area.
I'll kick you a kark. And I think what this is partly Preacher is like totally blatant, like standing there, like walking up towards them, but like not right up to their thing, and kind of like waves one of them over and is like, look, we both know that your boss has now started to maybe look into us, and that makes your boss very important to me because he is going to pay us. I need you guys to do a good job of keeping him safe. That way he can pay us. And so like it's that type of conversation.
And the response is
I'll kick a karkin as well by like slipping you the most expensive bottle that came from our order of 10 of everything, so that you can sort of lubricate the conversation.
Perfect.
All right, super. All right, so that's 6 karks.
Sent you one more. Buzz sort of just kind of told you about ideal locations to place the trackers, a little bit more precise information about the technology involved with them, just so you know exactly where to stick them and how to do it. So
awesome.
Right. Okay.
I think the pucker factor should be in effect here, right? These guys have guns. You get caught sneaking around on the boat. They've got orders to shoot, and so pucker factor's in effect. And I'm gonna call it hard. Like pulling this off is not the super easy task. They have one job. These Rhodian and Wookiee, they have one job.
Come on. All right. So 7, is that correct? Right? 7 dice.
Sounds like it.
I think. Yep. All right. Submit.
Yep.
Is that correct? Not re-roll. Right?
Yes, you hit submit.
Okay.
Oh, that is a lot of evens, sir.
Oh,
that is 5 evens that I see.
Oh yeah.
Lovely. So what does it look like when Weasel the Weequay, which I just realized it's a little bit of a like tongue twister, when Weasel the Weequay successfully boards the ship and points.
All right, so I climb almost a little bit like a rodent, on the side of the platform, all along cables and pipes and stuff that comes out of the side. And once I get closer to the guards, and when Preacher starts talking to them, I'm making a short jump, fetching the underside of the bridge up to the skiff. So I'm like climbing beneath it up to the skiff, and I'm taking the tracer and snaps it silently just behind two sort of turbines that comes out in the bottom of it.
And then of course the red light comes on. Beep, beep, because that's what happens when you activate tracers in movies. So okay, awesome.
So I'm like I'm swinging down and gives them the thumbs up, and then I'm like slowly trying to get down again to climb back the way I came.
Awesome. And as this is going on, we cut in with, of course, translations at the bottom where Preacher gives the advice to the Wookiee, and then the Rodian, who later we find out from an action figure actually had a name, Drexy Tona. Drexy is in Rodian's going, we have one job. We have one job. It's to watch this skiff. We know what we're doing, okay? Listen, we're not going to let anyone get into this skiff. No one will cause any problems with this skiff because this is all we have to do. And that's when Weasel's like climbing out and making his way. Cool. So, Preacher, how do you extricate yourself once you get the high sign from Weasel that things are good to go?
I think like I take the bottle that Spook gave me and I give it to them, and I also like give them like my comm signal or like whatever, like the communicator number. I'm like, look, if things come into like really bad danger, this is my number. If you need an eye from a very far distance, and like I like gesture towards my sniper rifle, like I can lay in an additional cover. So if something really bad happens, just let me know.
And the Wookiee, who's unfortunately rather kind of gregarious, says, I am Zalbar. And then he reaches out and he pulls you in and gives you a hug, and you have all kinds of like Wookiee fur, and the cartridges, right, kind of rub up against you. And then he takes the bottle and he shows it to the Rodian. Rodian's like, ugh. And it's all irascible. She just doesn't like this at all. And yeah, you guys do we cut to you guys on bikes watching the skiff fly away?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So yeah, do you guys want to let it lead out for a bit? You trailing slowly? Is that the plan, or are you just reading the readout from the tracers? What's the plan, Buzz?
I think that we give it a little bit of space because we don't want them to know that we're following. And then it's just like us on our bikes, kind of like weaving through the traffic in the hover lanes as soon as Balbo heads out, and we're going to kind of be ready to...
Nice. So you guys hop into a traffic lane, the skiff's just moving along. It's playing like this like futuristic dubstep kind of music. Like he's totally that guy that just plays super loud music that's annoying. You'd hear it 3 lanes over kind of thing. Whoop, 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 whoop. And he's traveling along in the skiff. You see Balbu up near the top. You guys trailing for a little bit. And then over top of you, we have the shadows of these land speeders, and they're sleek looking, kind of like a Porsche design, slightly smooth, and there are 3 of them when they're coming in, and you can see the Transit Authority plates that are on the back. They don't have any identifying. They're unmarked except for you pick up on the plate there that they are Transit Authority, and it looks like they're moving in on Balbu. So what do you guys do?
Blast them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just light them up. Awesome.
Like,
I love it. So
no,
I'm sure someone else has a more complex plan, but they didn't talk about it beforehand. So it's blast them.
Amazing. So if you if you guys want, let's do this. So pucker factor will be in effect. Let's have the person who called out Blastum be the first one to fire, because that's kind of part of what his character does. Be badass plus tools. So you're really good at this. And
Yep.
you guys, it's an even match. Right? So I think this is fucking hard.
All right.
Karking
and I believe
hard!
I get to call out murder on this one, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
I'll definitely kick you a kark as well.
Aw, thank you. All right.
Oh yeah, Buzz is all in. He's been wanting to release some of his antisocial tendencies for a little bit.
Is Buzz kicking him one too? I just need to know where I'm getting the karks right now.
One more for me.
I will as well. I think maybe Buzz and I have done a lot of flying together, so we sort of work up a pattern to like, how many transit authority vehicles are there?
3. There are 3.
So yeah, we sort of break them up out of pattern so that you can get a clean shot on one of them.
I have so many dice, you guys. I hope it works out. All right, here we go.
There's a lot of green. Oh, they're all even.
Except for I've got 1, 1, and 1, 5, and the rest of them are even. So that is 9.
Isn't it? So when the pucker factor is in effect, and you don't have a whole lot of karks, isn't it terrifying to go in with more dice? I think
it is a little bit. Yep.
That though definitely pays off. So I'm imagining that these aren't open air, right? But so they've got hoods. They have the view screens around. Just kind of imagine like they're flying cars, right? If we're cool with that, they're kind of rectangular-ish flying cars that are of a particular type. There's not a lot of variability, right? And so what is it that we see with Ace and then the rest of the crate things as you guys descend on these guys? You're gonna make mincemeat out of these transit authority speeders.
I think so. We have everyone else is splitting them up. They're maneuvering traffic, et cetera, until the so fixed in front of them that they don't realize that they're basically in a kill alley. And the first time they realize that is that like there's a rear view monitor or something on the bike, and the woman who was in charge like looks down and sees Ace like salute her with a gun, and she's about to call out. He's just and he's aiming to take the bikes out from under them because it's way easier to do that and way more destructive. So I think he's not even aiming for the pilots. Like he aims for the stabilizer, so one of them slides sideways and into another one and creates an explosion. And yeah,
nice. They're not speeder bikes; they're actually like speeders. But yeah, you can still take out a stabilizer. One kind of slides in the lane and bumps into the other transit authority. It starts to skitter off, and that's when everybody else unloads. What is it that Weasel does to take out one of the 3 flying car speeders?
I have one of those flash grenades. One of those cluster flash grenades. So you throw it, and then it's spread out, and then bang, 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 like fireworks. But really, really powerful. So I swoop up from behind and just throws one into the cabin.
Oh shit!
It's open. So
just basically like a pack of M80s just dropped in their lap.
Like a pinball
awesome. Yeah. There's one guy who has like a space coffee, and he like drops it in his lap. He's what the? And he's throwing coffee everywhere, and there's explosions, and it's going down.
Smoking. Yeah, it starts smoking and then just dwindling down.
And then Weasel and Spook, the 2 of you pull off something for the lead because it takes off ahead from the 2 that kind of bumped into each other and are starting to go off. The Deveronians are firing back at it, but this one transit authority speeder is about to do something, but Spook and Preacher, we'll let Spook kind of lead it off. But what is the thing the 2 of you work together to take it out?
So I think while they're focusing on traffic and getting out of this, I sort of come up actually underneath them And one of the things that I haven't gotten to do since I've been in prison, I really enjoy my trips to the nail salon to get some specialty manicures, as he did like titanium electroplating on the outside of his claws. So I'm just going to come up underneath and basically just rake out the connections on one of the thrusters on one side of it, so they start to go into a spin.
Oh man! And so they go into a spin, and then Preacher, you, with your amazing bounty hunter skills, you get to take them out. What is it that you do?
Yeah, so I think all it is like as they're going into a spin, like I just have like I'm just set up like in like maybe on a building or just hovering on my swoop bike with my sniper rifle, and all I'm doing is like as they're like going down, there's just like a single shot that like you see like the pilot like trying to like recover and like fix the stabilizers, and then like he just like slumps down onto the steering column and like just goes down, and like it just goes further and further out of control.
Oh man, there's like that moment in the middle of the car where the guy's like, "Come on, man!" He's like, "I've got it, I've got it."
Oh,
Bam! They slam into the side of a building, and Buzz, what is it as you being the mastermind technician? You've seen all of your gang take all of these. What do we see from Buzz as all of this carnage is happening?
I think that there's like the sort of like this like kind of like overlay that you see of like the different bikes with like these like green graph lines around them, kind of like simulations of where they might go and things like that. And everything just goes according to plan, and everything sticks within parameters. And Buzz is just sort of like nodding, like in pride of his gang and like how well they're doing, and they're sticking into, they're staying in mission parameters. That's the most I could ever ask of them. I think he just kind of like flies by on the swoop and like turns his head and looks in the like in the cabin or the bridge of the skiff, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And makes whatever constitutes for eye contact with Balbu, and it's just like, we're the real deal.
Nice. He's Balbu will call out, "I'll send the credits now." And, then we have, I guess maybe we have like a shot of the Wookiee who's like looking back across the way at Preacher with the, because that's exactly what she said she could do, is like snipe the hell out of things. And the Wookiee is very impressed by your prowess there, Preacher. Cool. So once you guys save Balbu and take out the Transit Authority, what is it you do? We're heading kind of near the end of session here. So do we kind of pick back up with you guys at the garage discussing Balbu's actual offer? Does that seem like a good thing to end on, even though it's it's not super exciting, but it is probably plot pertinent?
I think it's not even the offer. I think it's planning about what we're going to do to, like, we're accepting the author because there's, but yeah.
I think it's sort of the argument between like, do we just use Balbu to go straight after Tagta, or do we take down Balbu first and then go after Tagta? At least that's my angle on the discussion.
Perfect. I also like the idea that if we're planning things out, instead of like the salt shaker type thing of like planning it out, it's all the like the epaulets and buttons from the transit authorities that we just killed. Like we're using those as the markers to indicate where we're going and things.
That's lovely.
Absolutely.
That is lovely.
Maybe like the final shot is like Buzz like thinking like, we could really use Scrap's help here. I know he's known to go off on his little side adventures to look for scraps and whatnot, but maybe I should go and check on him and let him know what we're planning. And I head back to my apartment and look in all the hidey holes for Scrap and don't find him. And
nice.
A little worried.
Good. So
very cool.
Anybody have any last bits? We got a few minutes, so anybody have any like tag scenes they want to stick at the end, things that we didn't get to deal with that you want to bring to the fore? Are we good to go ahead and stop here?
I'm going to mention I can't be here next week. So there has to be some reason that Ace is not there. It is entirely possible he gets picked up by the law for a little bit, because there you go.
Yeah.
You get picked up for questioning in this vehicle accident that happened.
Yeah, it's also possible that a bounty hunter decides to take him alive.
We have a recording of you saying blast
that's
him.
it. That's it. Oh, sorry.
We have a recording of you saying blast him, and then
here's what we have, right? We saw Forlom, but we didn't see his partner. And so we go in a tag scene to kind of scroll back to the bounty hunter, like the meltdown. And Forlom is in communication with a certain partner whose name I can't remember. Zuckus. He's in communication with Zuckus. And then as you guys are doing this, Zuckus is hanging back in a speeder with Forlom along with him, and he's following you guys, and then he trails, and they slowly get, they're just behind Ace the whole time. And then when Ace breaks off onto his own, heads back to his own because he's moved out, right? He moved out into his own place. That's when they bust into the door and
stun grenades.
Stun grenade.
Yep.
I like that. You get to get captured by Forlom and Zuckus, man. Yes, dude.
I'm gonna freeze him in carbonite.
Well, they don't draw down on me in a straight fight, bastards. It's almost like they're bounty hunters and not gunfighters.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah, like they're standing. Zuckus and Forlom are standing over your unconscious body in your little flat here, and Forlom says, "We could perhaps freeze him in carbonite." And Zuckus says, "That would kill him. That's a stupid idea."
I think for a final for Spook, is Spook like talking to himself in a mirror in a bathroom or some equivalent, because canonically speaking, people in Star Wars don't go to the bathroom. So I don't know if
have money. They don't go to the bathroom. It's amazing.
Luke can't read. It's all these things. So he's staring at himself in the mirror, sort of like psyching himself up, like it's been a while, but you can do this. You're a killer. You haven't lost your edge. Just keep it together. Keep calm. Turns around and leaves the room, and there, across the room in the garage, there is Buzz sitting at one of those like monster hologram chess sets. As Spook comes over, sits down, and very seriously makes the first move.
Nice. So
very nice.
I love it.
Love that.
Cool. Anybody else have any tag scenes they want to throw in?
Yeah, I'm like going through my inventories back home. Weasel lives in an abandoned. Let's see, I had it here. Bassahound breedery, like a big pit used for Bassahound breeding. It's a pet that huts use from time to time. Not used, but they have Bassahounds as some sort of strange and dangerous pet. So I found a big abandoned Bassa pit that I have been using for a while as my own stash and apartment. And in there, I'm doing an inventory of my equipment. And I just realized after throwing that last shock detonator away that it's empty. So there's a scene of Weasel walking into the bazaars of the Undercity, trying to find an arms dealer to gear up.
Nice. We have to have
Alone.
one for Preacher now. Oh, did you? Yeah. We good?
Or not.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll pick that up next session. So I have to have one from Preacher now. I've gotten everybody else, so give us a tag scene.
Sure. So I think what it is you just follow Preacher just a little bit, and she goes to her apartment, and it's a little bit bigger than you would expect, like when you first like walk into it, but it's super pristine. Like everything is clean and neat. And then you notice like something is out of place, like there's a magazine or something, like there's something on a table, like a coffee table type thing, that just, it looks skewed and off. And then you see that there's somebody else in the apartment, and they bring down and like pick up the thing that's on the table. And Preacher just says like, "Oh, hi, I didn't know you were home."
What? Oh my, that is interesting. That is very interesting. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to do better this week than I did last, and I'm going to give everybody 5 XP because I was excited with all of the character development, and you guys like blew me away with your choices and where you took some things really surprising and super fun. So let's take a minute or so, think about it, and we'll do Roses and Thorns, and we'll get you guys out of here on time for once. Not really, because Roses and Thorns we usually take longer than 5 minutes, but I'm going to pretend. So we start with Thorns. Thorns, things that could have been done better or differently, confusion points that you had. I'll lead off with Thorns. I felt like maybe like it was a little slow, like it was a downbeat episode. I'm glad we had a couple of action sequences at the end. I feel like maybe that I could have given more punch to the party itself, or either pushed it to happen faster in a shorter time frame, because we spent a long time working Patrick's new character in, which I enjoyed, but also realized like I kind of broke my own mental timing of like I really wanted to get into stuff by 20 minutes in, and we were having so much fun that it kind of ran over to like the half-hour mark, and then we had a party. Like I maybe could have stuck in something to kind of kick it off with a bang. I think we went 2/3 of the game before we even rolled dice, and I'm not of the mind that's like every great session is because you didn't roll dice. I like mechanics that reinforce the narrative and surprise and challenge us in ways that we wouldn't have just come up with without some kind of random element in there. So those are the thorns that I have. So I feel like I could have tightened things up a great deal. So let's go with Yoshi. And I'll work backwards. Yoshi, what thorns did you have? Because you're so good at thorns.
For me, the thing I was going to think of was very similar to what you were saying, is that like it took us a little while to get to like a role of any sort, which is not the worst, like you said, not the worst thing in the world. But it was something I noticed. The other thing is it feels like a little bit too many karks right now because of that. And I think it's sort of that feedback loop, is that like if we had more roles, that would force us to have less karks, which I think would then also get us back to the doing like either vigilante justice or some sort of other like the refresh scenes, which I always find really fun. So those types of things.
Yep, good feedback. Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick, what thorns did you have?
So first off is a little bit of a thorn for myself and a little bit of a thorn for Star Wars, which is that you put up that wonderful like insults and expletives list, and I was very spotty about remembering to use it. But in my defense, I don't think Star Wars has very good curse words. They're all a little bit too funny or soft to really feel like they're getting out a lot of anger. So that is what it is. As far as the session, like, yeah, maybe. So I really liked, Jason, you bringing in the flashback in there. It's something I really like from Lady Blackbird, and I wish I'd remembered to use it a little bit more. But yeah, maybe things like the party at the bar and stuff like that could have been handled in like flashback vignettes or something like that. And the other one is just like I didn't dig into as much as I wanted to, like the cracks in Spook's personality. You know, we had very much scenes where he was stepping forward and being the smooth social one, and I didn't really find opportunities or take opportunities to show the lie in that. So I'm going to work on that for next time.
Cool. Thanks, Patrick. It's very insightful. Good stuff. Michael, what thorns did you have?
I think it was kind of similar things. I mean, it would have been cool to I think slow is maybe like not the word I was thinking. I really enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed the character development. I especially enjoyed working Spook in. I think you're right that we could have worked Spook in and then done action because that almost was similar to that. It gave me that same appreciation for downtime kind of moments that the party scene did as well. So, I mean, I don't mind doubling up, you know, double heaping a downtime necessarily, but yeah, I could see where that would be good. I thought you brought some really great moments in, really tied into some of Buzz's like feelings, and like when you brought back, I'm going to call him Eminem. I forgot.
M5M.
Yeah, M5M. With the restraining bolt, like that was so good, but I was like gobsmacked, and I was really glad. Quick little rose in the thorn section to Yoshi for like recognizing that and kind of like helping usher that scene along, because I was just like, wow, I don't know. So there's a lot of cool implications, and I know I always start throwing roses in the thorn section, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time this week, like just I know I'm going to just be like thinking about like, wow, how does Buzz feel about this and all that, you know, and which isn't something you always necessarily anticipate for like a robot character, is thinking about their feelings. So that's really cool. But yeah, so Thorn is just, I wish I could have been a bit more quick on the draw with some of Buzz's reactions.
Cool. Fair. Jason, what thorns do you have, sir?
You know, it was a really good session. I think I liked bringing in the flashback, but I felt the absence of the keys from Lady Blackbird as a part of that, because they give you kind of emotional themes and concepts to hang it on. So what we were doing felt a little bit more like Durance, where you ask, I wonder what, or I wonder if, and then you explore it from that. And that, I mean, it worked, and I don't think it worked badly, but I feel like it needs a little bit more framework to hang on, especially if it's replacing or adding to, rather, vigilante justice and community service to justify the karks that you're getting back. Like, there needs to be an emotional heart to the scene that I think we could play with a little bit more. Yeah, Durance wasn't my favorite either. It's not a bad concept. It just doesn't work for me. Anyway, so yeah,
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I kind of just threw you guys into the deep end. We're like, and you can do a flashback scene. No framing up to that. No idea. No thrust for it. And then you're like, yeah, let's do this flashback thing. And we talked it through, but it wasn't a scene. It was more like a flashback description, which I liked, getting that peek into the moment. And I felt like you guys did a good job of following through. But you're right. There wasn't a whole lot of underpinnings. It didn't have a skeleton to frame around. It was free form and it was fun, but from a mechanical approach, I could have done more to give you guys something to pin stuff on. It's good. Christian, what thorns did you have?
Oh, I'm still new to this, as I've said before. So I'm struggling a little bit with when to add fiction, when to step in and add, sort of contribute to expand on the shared narrative. But I'm not totally comfortable yet, but I'm getting there. So baby steps, sort of. So I guess also my language, I'm looking for words sometimes and I get stuck. So that is a little bit of a stress factor for me. So I just maybe need to relax a bit and just let go.
You should relax. I think you have great instincts,
Yeah.
Christian. I don't
right.
want to like tamp down your feedback
No,
because I
no.
think it's valuable, but I felt like all of your contributions were really fun. And the Basset Hound thing, I was like at first going, wait, does he mean Basset Hound? Like I'm like, no, Basset Hound, that's legit. I'm like looking up Wikipedia. I'm like, oh, this is dope, man. So that was really, really cool. I liked the fiction that you were throwing in.
All right, good. But otherwise, as much what you said, I don't mind having a slow start. Sometimes that could be a nice part of a session just to interact a little bit slowly, but also, as you say, to get into the action. Doesn't have to be bolts flying, but still that you interact and some complexities added to the story is of course interesting. But I think we got there, and overall I had a great session, so it's not a biggie at all.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah.
We'll stay with you, Christian, as we circle around to roses. What roses would you like to hand out?
Oh, to everyone. I had a great session, and I think everyone contributed immensely. I enjoyed this very much. And thanks, Rich. You are so well prepared. I'm almost... I mean it. It's really cool to see how you guys play that have done it quite some time. So I'm trying to listen and absorb.
Good. Jason, what roses would you like to hand out?
So Ace is a character who is always goes big. And I've rolled well enough that most of the time I don't have to suck up much minus for that. But when those 4 1s were looking at me, I was like, no! I almost was worried I had puckered the roll, and I very nearly did, despite my huge dice pool. And I actually kind of like that. You know, most of the time I'm going to succeed. Most of the time I will do amazing crap that no one thought I could pull off. But if I push my luck, which I'm going to, I'm eventually going to pay the price. And even as it is, I think I'm standing with 3 karks left right now, which is not a great place to be, but kind of makes sense given his situation. Yeah, Yoshi mentioned that everyone had a lot of karks, which is true, and the reasons he cited that are true. But I also enjoyed the system kind of reinforcing the risk reward of big rolls. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like 8 or 9 karks feels like a bunch until you blow 3 on a roll and roll 4 once. So I still think Yoshi's on point that I need to pressure harder, but I do like that this system can make up for that pretty quickly if you have one really bad roll. You guys just didn't know. You only have one bad roll the whole.
I think it's funny how everyone's trying to be friendly, like, oh, of course I give a kark about you, and then it's like, oh, now you rolled 4 1s, and one of those is probably my die I gave you, so, oh, sorry.
Well, you also get really protective when you get down to those last couple of karks, and you're like, how much of a kark do I really give here?
I'd love to help you out, bro, but... Michael, what about you? What roses did you have?
Yeah, another great session. Spook was a great introduction and really cool character. It's awesome to see. I think I really liked the actual fictional stuff that you did bring in for Weasel, like the neck glands that provide pleasure was like really, really cool to see. Yeah, I think it was just it was really cool, felt very human in a sense, even though it was Star Wars. I thought we all kind of, I think by playing as aliens and stuff, it gives us a chance to like look at human relationships like in like different ways, and that's really cool. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. Patrick, what roses would you like to hand out, sir?
So I had a really great time with this. I watched the first session. I was really excited to join in. I really loved the like lost orphans finding a new family theme, And I'm super gratified that everyone was just totally willing to jump on board. And I loved all of the questions that you threw at me in the introduction to help tie Spook in, so that I felt like a part of things. That was really awesome. I'll say for the glut of Karks sort of situation, being at that extreme upper end, I think there was actually an interesting mechanical effect there too, where I had so many, and especially after Jason, you went down those 4, glut of Karks, but I think it really it encourages you to get involved. Like, more than hit points, there's sort of a currency of narrative involvement. And so having so many, I was like, okay, every time someone makes a roll, I'm going to jump in. And it gave me a little moment to like add in a sentence or two of description and coolness without taking the time of an entire action and a roll. So I think at that end of the system, it's really just encouraging you to give them away as fast as you can and make sure that you're involved in everybody's stuff, which is pretty cool.
That's really interesting. I like that viewpoint. Yoshi, what roses would you like to hand out?
I had a lot of fun. One thing that I want to hand out a rose to Jason for really like looking at people's involvement and like trying to pass the roles to people who hadn't quite done something yet, or maybe hadn't done something in a little bit, and trying to figure out and setting up scenes and positioning so that everybody felt involved. And I thought that was super awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this session for the way you guys played your characters. I'm super duper excited for this like loaded gun that I've handed to Buzz about this disease that's headed towards Weasel and like how that's gonna play out. I find the way that Buzz just like took the data and his reactions, like super intrigued by that. I'm glad that you guys jumped onto the restraining bolt reappearing in M5M, like sliding right back into the same situation that you quote unquote liberated him from, and you guys realizing the like narrative impact of that and how it mirrors over to Buzz. I was super happy with that. I love Jason. Like, of course I shoot first. Like, that's even 3 Karks. Of course I shoot first. Just sticking with that dedication. I love Christian of like, hey, we just proven that mathematically you're probably not the best sneaker, but I'm the vagabond and I'm the thief. I'm doing this thing. Like, I love that thing of like, I'm not the best at this thing, but this is what my guy identifies as doing and do it. I really enjoyed Preacher, and like, even though it wasn't necessarily on screen, but like in my head, Preacher in the Meltdown Cafe, surrounded by other bounty hunters, and it kind of like her license is expired, and like I had all of these like side fanficky things going on in my head. I don't know if that's a rose or just like a thing that I enjoyed a great deal. I loved Spook because, Patrick, you came in and created a character that added a new spice to the dish that didn't take over the dish. Is the kind of thing of like, I didn't realize we were missing cumin, but fuck, it is better to eat this now. I really appreciate that you were able to take a look at, okay, where are the spots that I can fill to create this a more cohesive unit? Where are the counterpoints that I can bring to the conversation so that we can have different levels of interaction? And you feel both of those at the same time, which was just splendid. It's masterful role playing and jumping into a game that's already existing and ongoing. So good job. Had a great time.
That's really nice to hear, just because that's very much what I was going for. So
I
appreciate hearing that.
Been around, like, I got it. I'm like, yes, I could tell Patrick's thinking, and he did it really, really well. I'm super excited for next week. We get to find out what happened to Scrap, and then all of a sudden we don't know what's happened to Ace, although we kind of know what's happened to Ace. He's not going to be in Carbonite, but he's probably going to be in Manacles of some kind, I think.
And who's in Preacher's apartment?
Dun, dun, dun. I super want to know that. Like, I don't even know. I'm really like, I'm going to make that the opening scene just so I can, so Yoshi can tell us. So anyway, you guys have a great afternoon or evening. It was a pleasure playing with you again and playing some more Star Wars. So talk to you guys later.
Same.